you can be with us. You're watching Sports Cars on Speed. This is round 2 of the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series, the Porsche 250 from Birmingham, Alabama.
Thanks to our friends at Google Earth. We'll take a look at where the great state of Alabama lies. It's right down here. You see Birmingham, and there's Talladega Superspeedway right in the middle. The most scenic, beautiful racetrack in North America. Barber Motorsports Park, 2.38 miles, 15 hard corners.
Thank you, Dorse. Yeah, it's just a beautiful venue. Really encourage you to come and visit this place if you have never been. The Subaru starting grid rolling through at the top of the screen. A couple of interesting points of interest, folks. Since the Rolex 24 at Daytona, Cal, there's been a couple of crucial rule changes.
Yeah, and the DPs, they've gone from 20 gallons down to 18.5. Many changes within the GT ranks. We'll talk about those throughout the day. And the safety car procedure, no more lucky dog. You don't get that free wave by like you did at Daytona.
All right, as they pack up, the Daytona prototypes, as always, take their position at the front of this pack. Really good story here, as Brian mentioned, with Richard Westbrook for Spirit of Daytona Racing on the right-hand side, that blue Corvette on the pole. It's Westy, as he's known. It's Westy's very first Rolex Series pole position. He did a beautiful job yesterday in qualifying. 2 Corvettes on the front row. Let's go racing in Alabama.
A beautiful start by Westy. They're putting that 90 pole car straight to the front, but Fogarty keeps it. Oh, the 8 car there, Pontalini locks it up briefly.
Remember, Rojas played it really conservative, got out of harm's way, if you will. Look behind at the GT cars as they get going.
Scramble for the GT. An awesome effort from the FXDD Ferrari of Pro-Am driver Emil Asentato. You see it second there. He's chasing out after former series champ Paul Edwards. So they stay as they qualify. Edwards and then Asentato.
42 car running a bit wide there, just getting on the grass. No problem there. Eric Foss there right in. That makes a great performance in the 73 Porsche in qualifying, taking the 4th spot.
Wheel and Corvette there, the 31 machine runs wide with Boris Set behind the wheel. Good scrap going on there with Andrew Davis in the 59, the reigning GT champion. Down to turn 6, Boris is not yielding.
Very narrow racetrack. Passing is very difficult, so you really have to put your shoulders out and really muscle the car inside on these corner entries.
Andrew Davis knows this racetrack like the back of his hand. He's one of the instructors here at the Porsche Sport Driving School. But what a performance by Emil Asentato, one of the Pro-Am guys. He won a championship a couple of years ago with Jeff Siegel, but qualifying on the front row and right there at the front of the pack in this opening lap.
And the next car back, Dorse, is the 57 Stevenson Motorsports Corvette. There's a whole story to tell you there, but to the point, it's Ronnie Bremer in the car in his very first drive at this racetrack. He's coming to grips with it very quickly.
The Chevrolets have been strong all weekend long here, and it's been limited because of the IndyCar participation. They haven't had a lot of on-time track on time, I should say.
Ronnie Bremer, they call him the super sub in the Stevenson team. John Edwards, the regular driver, is supposed to share that car with Rob Liddell for the season, torn ACL in a skiing accident. A couple of weeks ago, he may be at Homestead as well.
Guess what happened? It was one of those occasions where you say, just one last run down the mountain. And it was the last run on the day, and he's a very accomplished skier. And he came home stuck as we ride aboard with Patrick Dempsey, one of 2 Dempsey Racing Mazda RX-8s in the field.
There's a good shot of the elevation right there. There's good elevation here from him.
Ricky Taylor is forcing his way through this field. Dorsey, remember, a hiccup in qualifying, as we heard earlier in the show. Now this young man, who really is a qualifying expert, is making up for lost time and ground.
Well, I talked to Ricky. He was really embarrassed. He was apologetic to the team and everybody that worked so hard on the car. Just a little error, and he spun and got stuck in the gravel pit. But I told him, I said, you're strong, you're good, you'll be able to go right through these guys, and he is right now. But I'll tell you what, he's putting it all at risk, though.
Let's have a look at what happened just a few moments ago, Cal, involving Ricky Taylor and Alex Popov.
You see Ricky looking for a way through. That's where he had the problem qualifying yesterday, and Popov just closes the door. Looked like a little bit of bodywork. Yes. Got torn off one of the cars there. Got those little dive planks you see on the Corvette DPs. You will not see that on the new Rileys. It looks like both are in place that you can see on Ricky's car. Maybe it came off the 2 car.
Ricky's car looks good, but that's the danger you have to watch out for, coming from behind where you really shouldn't be.
So Richard Westbrook leads the way overall from John Fogarty, David Donahue, Memo Rojas. In GT, it's unchanged. It's Paul Edwards. There he is in the Auto House Camaro. Then the second place car is the FXDD Ferrari of Emil Asentato. Let's go for a ride with the 2010 champ. Down to turn 5. One of the tricky corners on this track. You've got to get a good launch off here. Yellow flag waving, local only.
Yeah, one of the DPs must have had a quick spin there in turn 5, put them up in turn 8. Understand that maybe the 2 Star Wars cars got lot involved there down in that braking zone. We'll try and take another look at that. But this is Emil Acetato behind the wheel. Here we see it.
Oh, that's a dive bomb late attempt right there by the 8 on the 2. And Peter Barron's not going to be too happy about that.
Nor will Alex Popov.
They started off the season as teammates last year and then split up halfway through the year. Both doing a stellar job, but not the start. Remember, those guys in strong points position after a runner-up finish at Daytona.
Remember, this is the newer of those two Rileys. This is the 2012 spec Riley Ford that we saw in the heat of the battle for the majority of the time at the Rolex 24.
You can imagine some radio chatter going on about right now.
What a performance it was by that team. Remember, they got this new Riley very, very late, rolled it out of Daytona, immediately on the pace. Engineers did a tremendous job, and then Ryan Dial stole the pole away from Max Angelelli, and then went on to have a great run, ultimately finishing second.
You know, I talked about how difficult it is to pass at this racetrack, and it's the kind of a racetrack that you really got to be aggressive and assertive when you try to make those passes. That was a little too far gone. You know, that was too optimistic. You got to be alongside a little bit before you pull a maneuver like that.
Paul Edwards continues to lead the way over the 69. Brian, tell us more.
Well, everyone's talked about what a great job Emil Acetato did in the Ferrari in qualifying, but I talked to Ian Willis after the test on Thursday, and the car was not good. We came back the next day and it improved, and he said, look, I'm used to setting up a Daytona prototype when we ran the AIM Daytona prototype, and I set it up that same way. It didn't like it. We have gone completely the opposite direction. That prancing horse just came alive.
Yes, yeah, the team. They were here, Cal, until midnight the night before, working to get that car pointed in the right direction. Yes, you see the safety car being deployed in double yellows for the first time here today. Will this be the theme? Unsure. We only had 3 yellows here last year, so we'll see what it's for. It's for debris. We'll take a quick break, come back, go racing, off to a flying start. However, Richard Westbrook, the race leader, loses his 4-second lead over John Fogarty. That will evaporate. And we'll go back to some hard racing on the other side of this. We're back. We're under our first full course caution here at Barber Motorsports Park. Now, guys, there's an interesting story and tale of the tape, if you wish, about if you win here in the past, it's a pretty good indicator to the championship.
Well, you look at it right there from 2005 all the way to last year. Everybody who won here has won a championship. Calvin, you got any ideas why that might be?
Well, I think this racetrack is very demanding in terms of chassis setup. So I think if you can win here, you should have a good car for this season that should work any other racetrack. So I think this really puts a lot of demands on making the mechanical grip come to life around this place.
It wasn't on that graphic, but the story goes even deeper because we've raced here for 9 years, and 8 of the 9 years the winner has gone on, starting with the inaugural race here in '03 with Terry Borchella, who won that race and went on to become the inaugural Daytona prototype champion. The only two who didn't keep that trend going were the legendary Elliott Forbes Robinson and Butch Leitzinger. Hi to both those guys. We know you'll be watching. So, boys, you spoiled our graphic and our statistical story.
Exactly. My old teammates.
See if anyone's got anything for Westy on this restart. I mean, he just took off, basically, and he and Fogarty are the only guys in the 122 range on that first stint. See Ricky Taylor now up to 6th. Haven't cleared a few cars, haven't started at the back of the pack. During that yellow, J.C. France took advantage of the caution to stop and top up with fuel, so that'll give those guys a slightly bigger window as we look back for green.
Here we go. Look at Richard Westbrook. The British driver is keen to get that 4-second lead back over John Fogarty, a 2-time winner here, 2-time champion. It's Corvette 1, 2, 3. Rojas, the BMW Riley, is 4th with a new color scheme, predominantly blue with some white on the 01, the very familiar Telmex BMW. We'll see what the multi-time champion can do. They were 1.5 seconds off in qualifying. That was a big deficit to make up.
Well, it's our first restart, guys, and we're talking about the compatibility of the rubber. I'm seeing a bunch of rubber bouncing around on the racetrack already, which is indicative of these tires picking up the Indy rubber and balling it up, and it's only been a couple of laps already.
Yeah, those Indy cars were at qualifying just over an hour ago, and they run a soft tire in qualifying, so there'll be a lot of that rubber laying around the racetrack. But here we see Westy really took off, got the restart perfectly. Fogarty giving chase. There we see Rojas in 4th. The Ganassi team really scratching their head yesterday. Went into the transporter, they had a strategy session going on. They just can't figure out, with the speed that we have, whatever strategy we decide to run here is going to be a long, long day.
You ride with Ricky Taylor in the SunTrust Corvette for Wayne Taylor, his dad's team, who is making up ground very quickly. That caution came at an appropriate time for him. That helped out a little bit in his chase towards the front, right, Brian?
Indeed, Lee, and the caution came at a good time because he's using those Continental tires up to get to the front. They had not been particularly good on long runs throughout the weekend, so that short run before the yellow really helped. It also brought the field back to Ricky Taylor, so it gave him a chance to cool the Continental tires. Maybe he can charge a little bit more. So Ricky Taylor trying to move to the front. The Daytona prototypes, Chris.
Well, Calvin, you were just talking about the strategy on the 01. Just checked in with Tim Keene. A lot of these Daytona prototype teams are trying to do this race in 2 stops. Tim Keene saying they're not happy with the speed of the 01, so they're going to do something completely different. They're going to go for 3 stops. With this early caution, just check back in with Tim, and he said we're still sticking to that plan. The 01's going to come to pit lane 3 times in this race.
Of course, when you roll down pit lane, other than the stop, you lose about 21 seconds compared to staying out on the racetrack, so that's a big factor. But getting back to Ricky Taylor, when he had that spin in qualifying, he also routed a set of tires. He flat spotted them, so they only have 3 sets of tires to work with. So this is a team that really needs to stick to a 2-stop strategy. Otherwise, they've got a set of tires they have to find.
Take a look at our Continental Tire keys to the race for today. Tires, as the boys have just been discussing, is a real talking point. Dorsey, what about patience? We saw Ricky come into contact with Alex Popov before. How important is that here at Barber?
It's huge at this racetrack. When you've got this really narrow racetrack and 15 corners, you have to be patient. When you execute these passes, you got to be safe about it so you don't make car contact.
And with the strategy, a big factor here today, the reduced fuel cell size for the DPs. Do you make 2 stops? Do you make 3, like Chris was talking about? In GT, do you make 3? Do you make 4? Some of the teams talking about doing only 20-lap runs on the tires in GT before switching tires.
Look at this GT scrap. It is phenomenal. Just go down the list. From Edwards to Asentado to Ronnie Bremer. There's Eric Foss in the Horton Porsche. It's a new team, it's a new car, and Eric Foss and Patrick Lindsay have done a terrific job this weekend. In fact, they've put the more established Porsche teams in their rearview mirror. Great job.
That is quite a story right there. That car was unloaded and had not turned the wheel until just the other day. And we didn't know. You know, all of a sudden, here's a new car to our series, and it's popped up to the top. And here, this is showing you why.
Eric Foss down the inside of Ronnie Bremer on the Stevenson Camaro. Nice work. And surging to the front. And the good news is, Brian, we're going to see that 73 Porsche all year long.
Well, we will, Lee. And Dorsey, you're exactly right. Not only had that car not turned a wheel, it literally had not even turned over. They hadn't even started the engine. It was so new. And that team has done a great job. John Horton, team owner and engineer, Matt Barberry, who used to be with Flying Lizard Motorsports over in the American Le Mans Series, working on that car. And Eric Foss and Patrick Lindsay, very experienced and talented drivers in sprint races. But this endurance format, a little bit new to them. But right now, they've got that Porsche working well.
Boy, Boris Stepp back in the back of the Wayland Corvette. He's getting antsy, too, trying to take a look on the inside of the Mazda. I talked to Boris yesterday. He said, last year I learned something. He goes, you know, we were behind then and we had to run really hard to get the front where we burned our tires out. So he said, I learned that lesson. He goes, I just rode around for about the first half of the race. And he goes, all of a sudden I was King Kong. And of course he won the race that way.
He's right. Used to run a NASCAR course on the road course, so he knows how to manage tires and brakes on one of these road courses. And oh, look at this, as we say that about patience. Looks for a way by there. I don't think you're going to make an outside pass there on Charles Espinlove. He certainly shut the door and said, no way, Boris, as Andrew Davis now gets on the rear bumper of Boris Said.
Charles Espinlove wrestled snakes and alligators. He wasn't going to be wrestled there by Boris Said.
Yeah, but Boris is along that same line as a snake or an alligator. I don't know if he's not even meaner than that.
Reigning GT champ in the famous 59 for Brumos Racing there is Andrew Davis. Look at him trying to come up. There is Sylvain Tremblay, a 2-time Rolex 24 GT winner in the back. The black Mazda, the familiar Speed Source color scheme. He is trying to hunt down these guys as well. Check this out.
Look at this. Boris has a run on him, but he's then going to go to the outside, which is just not going to work. But got to watch that wet grass there. With a lot of rain over the last 24 hours, Dorsey. You get off on that, you're going for a ride.
You don't want to rile Boris up, okay? He will put the bumper on you if need be if you get him riled.
It was one of the key points of the managing director of competition, Mark Raffoff, this morning in the drivers' meeting. He said, guys, you know how much it has rained here. The grass is still wet. Stay on the black stuff.
And they'll charge you if you get off there. Such a beautiful racetrack.
Espinlove looking really racy. The Mazdas come to life here. They really struggled at Daytona for pace, but here, this racetrack really seems to suit them. And Espinlove's car has just really been hooked up. Spoke to Joe Foster. He said the other car just doesn't have the balance of this one. The two Charlie boys are going to do well here today.
Mazda's strong, Calvin, but you know, when you were talking about the reduced fuel cells early on, really kind of hurts one of their strong suits, and that is long runs. They felt like with a lighter car, they're better at the end of a long stint. With the smaller fuel cell, the stints aren't quite as long. Espenlaub comfortable in that car. They made a new seat for him yesterday. He's got a back problem when he injured his back when he was about 20 years old. So he's comfortable in the car. They just wish that fuel cell a little bit larger so they could run a little bit longer.
The Dempsey car, one of the Dempsey cars well placed. Team principal Patrick is a little further back in the GT order, but this has been a fierce GT scrap in the early running. Meanwhile, overall, Richard Westbrook has taken the lead out to 2.5 seconds over John Fogarty, and David Donoghue a further second back. Where is Ricky Taylor? He's come from the back of the DP field up to 5th, and that is reigning champion Memo Rojas in his sights. Back at Barber Motorsports Park here in Alabama, and let's bring you up to date with some news and notes since we've been away since the Rolex 24 at Daytona, and the Grand Am competition department continue to work existing relationships with various manufacturers in Europe. They've also spent some time in Austin, Texas, looking at the possibility of the Rolex Series visiting that new racetrack, which is quite exciting.
Certainly some great news there. Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson have shown some interest in running at the Indy race at the end of July. That would be great for the series, and great to see those boys back in action. Jimmy Johnson, of course, racing the 24-hour race this year.
Watch this, guys. 67 car in way too deep. 3-car contact right there. The penalty paid heaviest on the 68, which we saw radiator burst on the 68. He was really a bystander in that whole thing.
Tough break with Steve Berthoud coming down the inside. Joe Salin was the meat and the sandwich there, and Emilio de Guida on the outside in the second TRG car. So tough break for the two TRG Porsches there as we get back to it. This is the battle for second. The Red Dragon, the Gainsco Insurance Corvette, is John Fogarty, a two-time winner here. He's being chased down by a fellow Corvette driver, David Donoghue.
Donoghue looked like he had a shot at maybe going for the pole here this weekend, but unfortunately had the front roll bar, the stabilizer bar break during the qualifying run. Cost him about a second, so he was very disappointed, but he felt that he had a good race car. By that, on the longer runs, he felt that the car was in really good shape. This is another team that's been testing. They didn't go with the majority of the GM teams down in Louisiana to a new track called NOLA. They went up to VIR, did some running there, developed a new splitter all of their own, and said it is very effective on the front of that car.
Coming through GT traffic, John Fogarty gets by Patrick Dempsey and Chris Cook in that Rick Ware Mustang. Here's the fight between Ricky Taylor and Memo Rojas. That gap has been bridged somewhat, but while we're away in the break, Ricky Taylor complaining of high-speed understeer. Dawes, tell us more.
Yeah, he said it was massive, and on high speed, when they talk about high-speed understeer, he turns the steering wheel for the corner, and the car continues to go straight. It pushes, if you will, off the outside of the racetrack. The only way to get rid of that is to back off the throttle, and that's not what you want to do in a high-speed corner, start going slower.
Out of the very familiar and signature turn 5, and the uphill drag race down to 6. We just showed you that drama for the TRG team. Well, there's another Porsche team standing by with Chris Neville, and Chris, I think he won a pretty impressive watch recently, didn't Andy Lally?
Yeah, that was Andy Lally's, I think, 4th Rolex watch just a couple months ago. And Andy, this was the first weekend that the Porsche teams could go from the 3.8 to the 4-liter motor. However, you guys lost a motor in practice. You went back to the 3.8, which is essentially less torque. If there's any track that can happen, is this a good track?
It's a little difficult to say right now. The torque curve is smooth on the 4-liter, so that makes it really nice when you're trying to drive off these slippery corners. These Continental tires are doing a great job of holding on and putting power down coming off the corner, but it is Barber. It's hot, it's greasy, and it's one of the more challenging places to do this. I think the way that we get to take some weight off because we went to the 3.8 is going to help us out, and I'm hoping that on the long run that's going to help both John and I out.
Well, Andy Lally has won 4 of these watches, and now he's giving them away. In fact, he gave them to one to meet team manager Mike Johnson for everything Mike has done in his career. I don't know, Andy. You got to remember about the TV guys, too.
and his old driver instructor, too, as a matter of fact.
The fight continues and maybe resumes here with the two Star Works car. It's the older generation Riley in front with Alex Popov over Enzo Potolicchio. Remember, these two got together at turn 5 a little earlier in the race.
Both showing a little bit of damage if you look at them closely. Of course, the front of the 8's got the big punt mark. It doesn't seem to have affected the radiator at all. And I think the side plate on the left side of the...
Of course, Popov in the older generation, Riley, and Enzo in the newer car. The GT battle, though, heats up as the Daytona prototype leaders try to thread their way through here. Unscathed, not easy. Tough racetrack to pass here at Barber.
No trouble here.
That's Eric Foss. Straight through, back out, avoids
Wow, he
contact.
did a good job there getting re-entered.
That was strange. I wonder if he had a right front, possibly have a problem, but...
We saw the smoke before we saw the car. You know,
he'd be up to speed again, though, Dorsey.
had to have flat spotted with that much. Oh, look at the left front. Looks like it's moving around.
Dives to the pits,
I think there's damage to the left front suspension. Look at it.
Let's take you back. Let's see if we can decipher what happened to Eric Foss here. He's the front car, the lead car.
By himself.
I think something on the left front broke, Cal. I saw the tire getting cambered all by itself, or the wheel getting cambered when he pulled back on the racetrack. Yeah, that's a mechanical issue, I bet you.
Yeah, it's maybe even a crossweight issue. Maybe something broke on the right rear that then, you know, kept the weight off the left front as he was turning in.
See when they get that left front. And of course, it's on the side we can't look at.
These two drivers, full-time there this year, they'll certainly get some attention because Patrick Lindsay and Eric Foss have been really stalwarts in the World Challenge Series over the years and always seem to run towards the front of the pack. Brian?
Well, crew going to work down here, it was somewhat of a surprise that he was coming in because that happened so late in the lap, but I don't see anything wrong with the left front. When I looked at the crew guys changing it, a lot of gravel coming out of the car right now, and they're looking actually down in the floorboard area, and I wonder if there was something perhaps with the brake bias that got hung up. Eric Foss. Remember, the out. He's back away, but Dorsey, they were down in the footwell. I'll see if I can find out if they've got a brake pedal issue.
They might have just got stones in that tire when he went off the racetrack too, Calvin, made the wheel jump around. I saw the left front tire, the wheel itself moving kind of not right.
Yeah, if you're going to go off there, you don't normally go off of that trajectory. Do you know what I mean? You get a bit closer to the apex than Eric did. So something certainly went awry there. He was by himself, wasn't really threatened by traffic to cause that incident. Look at this. Taylor and Rojas down through turn one here. GT traffic up ahead. Emil Asentado. He's on hot tires. That Porsche's got fresh tires on. Remember,
they're going to split. It's going to go up the inside here. Watch.
Whoa! Right there. Come back across. That's a real area where you could ideally have a spotter telling you that the DP cars are coming. We've seen incidents there over the years many times.
It's a little more relaxed.
Yes.
This man here, the lanky Englishman Richard Westbrook, he is enjoying a 7-second lead margin. Look at that.
It's amazing.
That's where John Fogarty is. That's what 7.2 seconds looks like. It's Cruzy out front for the Spirit of Daytona Corvette. Chris?
Yeah, and Cruzy's exactly what Troy Fliss, the team owner, just told me. I asked him what was going on with the 90. He said, you know what, we wanted to run out, run a nice little lead, and then be able to manage the tires. We've heard it all week long, manage the tires at this racetrack. They've got a nice 7-second lead, and so right now Richard Westbrook easing off, taking care of his tires.
Remember here last year, the car was so fast. They had a monster lead here last year till they had that coil pack issue, Dorsey, and cost them a certain victory. And from there, this season seemed to really spiral because they had a lot of pace in the early going.
Like Richard's lines around here, he's taking really late approaches to these corners. He's not grinding the tires or throwing the car hard into the corners. He's just real smooth, real liquid.
Remember, these Corvette Daytona prototypes, they have the same body but different chassis underneath. I mean, it's the Coyote chassis, or it used to be the Coyote out front. It's the Riley chassis underneath the 99. And the 10 car here has the Dallara chassis. So they're all going to have slightly different mechanical grip issues around various circuits.
Hey, Brian, do you have an update on the 73 Porsche?
I did check in, and Eric Foss went for a pretty exciting ride. We thought it might be something with the brake because that's what they were looking at. It wasn't the brake, it was the gas pedal. In fact, remember, brand new car, had an issue with it, throttle stuck.
That got his attention, and there was a little bit of luck on Eric Foss's side too, not to come into contact with anyone when he came out of the gravel trap in the grass. But we're into a good racing pattern now, and everybody's trying to catch Westy, Richard Westbrook. We look forward to that. It's been a great weekend here in Alabama. Saturday race, it's a big doubleheader weekend with the IZOD IndyCar Series. Also got the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. The paddock is overloaded. It's been heaving with cars and people, and just a great spirit, great atmosphere here at Barber Motorsports Park. And this would be an amazing story. This would follow on from the Mike Shank Racing victory at the Rolex 24 for a feel-good story. If Troy Fliss, his brother, he and his brother who run this team, if they could pull off their first Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series Daytona prototype victory. They're a storied team back in the day in the AGT class, but as far as the big ranks in DP, this would be groundbreaking for them.
Just had so many heartbreak races. They've certainly had the pace on numerous occasions, Dorsey, and the team has really grown. They've worked hard with Pratt & Miller in terms of developing this car. They've got all the tools in the shed this year. Two great drivers working well together. And right now, things are going very smoothly, but a long way to go.
Yeah, we had such limited time for practice and qualifying and so forth. In fact, qualifying was almost not a washout, but it was half of its distance. That car, though, was always lingering around right there at the top. You know, we didn't really count it out, but it's really been a strong car all weekend long.
Is the gap from first to second in this car 5 for Action Express Racing is third with David Donahue behind the wheel. And then the 4th place car is the Telmex BMW Riley for Chip Ganassi Racing with Felix Savalas, the multi-time champions, the 3-time winners here in Alabama. Memo Rojas is behind the wheel. Scott Pruitt, the man in sports car racing, will step in shortly, but for now, he's without Chris Neville.
Yeah, Scott Pruitt all ready to get behind the wheel, the 01. And Scott, right now, listening to all the Daytona prototype teams, it seems like everybody's struggling with grip front and back. Sounds like Memo's got the same issue out there. You guys planning on making any changes on the stop?
We're going to wait just a little bit longer, about another 10 laps, kind of see exactly where the Telmex BMW is. You're kind of limited because you want to do a really short stop, so you can do a gurney, tire pressure, and that's about it. Out of my family at home. And for the most part, you always got to be careful not to take too much time on it in a pit stop to make changes. So we knew this was going to be an issue coming on. Same thing we fought last year. You're just going to have to race the racetrack.
Well, it looks like the team might be standing up here, maybe possibly coming to pit lane. I think Memo may be locked up on the racetrack, so probably trying to assess if they've got an issue with the tire.
They do. I'll show you why they do. Look, take a look here. Full blown lockup, and he's flat spot to the left front.
No pit now, tires and fuel, no driver change, pit now.
Here he comes. Cost you just over 20 seconds to the team yesterday in the time down pit lane. Tires can be done in around 20 seconds. Driver change about the same. Curious to see if Scott Pruitt can actually get ready if they did want to change. They're past the 30-minute mark now, so driver points for the championship would be good for Memo if they did want to put Scott in the car.
And look at the spent rubber on the grill. They're going to have to take some tension there to clean that out. That's what we're talking about at the beginning of the race.
The voice you hear belongs to Tim Keane, the team manager for this operation. And these guys go to work beautifully. They know exactly what's required. It's one of the best teams on pit road as far as executing those changes. They were meant to work, they were made to work overtime at the Rolex 24 with a gearbox problem, weren't they, Chris?
Well, you can see Scott Pruitt. And it doesn't look like they made that wicker change that they were planning. They were going to add a taller wicker to the rear of the car, but because this stop kind of came out of nowhere, I don't think the team was completely ready for that. It was also a shorter stop because they didn't have to take as much fuel.
Yeah, by wicker, they're talking about the gurney flap that goes along the trailing edge of that rear wing. When you change that, put a bigger one, it just plants the rear of the car a little bit better, particularly through the high-speed sections, but that was not the timing they wanted. Scott Pruitt was obviously in the interview. They weren't expecting Memo to come down pit lane that quickly. I would imagine that Timmy Keane had thoughts about putting Scott Pruitt in on this first pit stop today.
Just not enough time to do it with that lockup down there in turn 5. It flat spotted the tire, needed to get in there right away and get that taken care of, which they did a good job, but no time for Scott to get involved in that.
Back to GT, and let's go to the front because Paul Edwards is under increasing pressure from the FXDD Ferrari, the A Motorsport car. Emil Asentado, I think, is driving the best I've ever seen. We know that this Ferrari is good, and the Camaro is in a little bit of grip trouble.
You could see it there. It was really sort of like struggling to get the power down there before they were coming off that corner. He had a nice lead a short while ago, and Emil is just now right on his tail. What a performance if he could genuinely take the lead of this race.
What are they saying at the Auto House camp, Brian?
Lee, Calvin's eyes are spot on. Edwards on the radio saying that 88 Camaro going very, very loose. Having problems putting the power down, keeping the rear end underneath it. He wanted to know how much longer he had on a set of tires. So Paul Edwards right now has his hands full of Camaro and Emil Asentado.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the Pro-Am part of this deal yet, but Emil Asentado is the amateur, if you want to call it that, type of driver. He is doing a fantastic job, and he's got Paul Edwards in his sights. Paul's on a rear tire. It's going to be fun now.
Ian Willis, who runs the A Motorsport team, he said when you give Emil a good car, he just goes. I mean, he is right on the pace.
See how wide he is. He's in big trouble. Just keep looking where you want to go. Take your time.
He's a sitting duck right now, Cal.
Nick Longy on the radio just talking to Emil through these laps here. He's patient. He can take the lead.
Apex.
Right to the inside. Watch up the inside.
Well, Patrick Dempsey has come unstuck here. We understand there was contact with another car. Nice flip spin, gets it pointed back in the right direction.
Didn't need a stunt double for that one, did he?
Yeah.
No,
That's cool.
clear.
Turn 14.
Who was it with? What happened? We'll try and unlock this one for you. Just when one Dempsey car's going great, Charles Espenlaub has got it up into the top 3 for the 41. What happened to Patrick Dempsey in the 40? Look up ahead.
going to be by himself. We're on board now with Ricky Taylor. And we switch to live action here down into turn 5.
It's actually, he's behind this group here. There he is.
Was involved. Patrick wasn't
Patrick
expecting
didn't
that
see him
move.
there.
We talk about the patience there. I think Patrick was going to cut back across with the GT machine, and Ricky didn't expect it. One of those racing incidents.
And you saw Rolex 24 at Daytona winner John Pugh for Mike Shank Racing slip on by Ricky Taylor. So Ricky had done the hard work to get by Pugh for 4th.
Here we go.
And then he stole it back for the lead at GT. Asentado to the lead.
Good job, Emil.
Clean.
Awesome job,
Right
mate.
down the
That
road.
is
Look at the
fantastic stuff. His Ferrari's got everyone in the paddock scratching their heads. We certainly saw some pace with the car at Daytona. When we got to the twisty stuff, everyone said the big corner speed of that Ferrari is really, really strong. It should be good, and it's certainly showing the pace right now.
Richard Westbrook in that blue Corvette Dorse, the overall leader, the Daytona prototype leader, coming by the new GT leader.
And both these guys giving each other plenty of room. They're in their own element right now. There's nothing that Edwards can do with that Ferrari at this point.
Yeah, look at Espinal. He's going to be in second spot shortly, but he's got a bit more pace than Edwards right now. So you talk about time management at the beginning of the show, Dorsey. Starting to show its head with 25 laps on the boards for the GT cars.
And behind Charles Espinal, Morissette is up to 4th. Andrew Davis is 5th. And Ronnie Bremer has fallen back, so the Camaros have got their hands full. Back at Barber as that FXDD Ferrari is on the lane. A quick reminder, tomorrow, Speed Center as always, 7 p.m. Eastern right here on Speed. And then Wind Tunnel with Dave for Spain is certainly worth watching. They've got Rubens Barrichello and Kevin Swans on and in the tunnel with Dave. Tune into that. Brian?
Well, Emil Asentado has climbed out. Jeff Siegel in behind the wheel of the 69. Remember, Jeff Siegel started his career in Ferrari Challenge. It's almost like a return home. And this Ferrari today, very fast. The 88 was set up for a stop as well.
Yeah, with this many laps on the board, these guys are looking good for a 3-stop strategy here to split landing and race a little bit more and try to keep those tires as fresh as possible.
There's a quick look in the mirror to see where the oncoming traffic is. Good heads up safety driving, as was asked of them by Grand Am officials. And Jeff Siegel, former Series GT champ, back out on track, and let's see how far this Ferrari can go. Remember we showed you, or tried to show you this replay a little earlier involving Ricky Taylor and Patrick Dempsey. Here's what happened.
Well, Patrick's tires are getting well worn, so he can't get the car turned in. Stays out there a little bit longer than Ricky expected, so he thought, okay, he's left the door open for me. In the meantime, we saw John Pugh flash by.
Well, that's the problem as a driver. You know, you have that decision to make, and you look up there, Patrick Dempsey up ahead. He's out to the right. He's giving me room, so I'm going to go in the inside, but then he comes back down. You just don't know.
That's what it looked like from John Pugh's seat in the Mike Shank Racing Ford as he skipped on by, and the SunTrust machine is on pit road, and so too is the 88 Camaro. Brian?
Taylor brothers on pit road. Jordan Taylor climbing behind the wheel of the 88. Ricky Taylor climbing out of the 10. The SunTrust entry. They're going to do a wicker change on the 10, lower it in the back, get rid of some rear downforce to help balance the car. Right now they've got too much in the rear, and Dorsey talked about the understeer they had. I see some damage to the dive plane on the left front. It's been folded up a little bit. We've seen Ricky Taylor in combat out there. They've gotten it down and away. Angelelli back on track.
Couple of lucky escapes for that car today. Remember one of our storylines at the top of the show. Oh, look at this involving the Mike Shank Ford and one of the Salem's Mazdas.
That's the championship leader. Remember the winners from the Daytona 24-hour race, John Pugh, and a big incident there.
This is a full course caution for sure. That prototype car will be
Move. If
stuck
it doesn't
there.
move, they're going to have to tow you out of there.
Turn 7 possibly.
Knocking right back out on track.
Joe Nonamaker in the 43. Here's what happened.
Here's Joe losing it to the outside on his own. No contact there whatsoever. Now he's going to come and try and get re-entered.
Back on the racetrack somehow.
There he's got it fired and trying to keep momentum up in that grass. He's on the racetrack going the wrong direction. Oh dear. Oh, see, that's a big hit.
Woo. Let's take you on board the 60 with John Pugh for this wild ride.
Oh, that's going to do mega damage.
Major deceleration. That would have really folded up that front, and that would have really given John a bit of a hit there in the chest with a sudden stop.
He took a complete stop all at one time. That's just like hitting a concrete wall, if not worse, because you'd bounce off the concrete wall. He didn't bounce off a bit.
Well, look how far he's pushed the soil and sod.
Doing such a great job. Qualified there in the top 5. Is running in the top 5.
Watch this in real time and watch how fast this car comes to a stop when it digs in. I mean, that is a brutal, violent stop.
Saying on the spine, he's now going to repair from John's right as he comes through this corner through the apex. There's nowhere to go but cut across the glass and boom.
My gosh, I mean, the G-forces right there, I'd like to see what those were. I would like not to feel them. I'd like to see them on the meter.
Think about being on a bicycle, a mountain bike, or a motorcycle, and just grabbing a fistful of front brake. That's exactly what just happened to John Pugh.
Oh, another car. Express cars.
This one's nosed into the barrier. I don't think it's hurt from the looks of things because it's gone through the gravel trap.
What happened, David? You okay?
But this is under,
I believe.
This is under full course caution. This happened.
I wonder if there's some confusion whether trying to get in a pit lane at the last moment or something, or stay out. Let's take a look. Yeah.
Wow.
I think they told him to stay out the last moment. Looked like David had committed to pit lane and then maybe stay out possibly on the radio. We'll have to wait and get clarification on that, but certainly he looked committed to the pits for us.
Yeah, he looked like he was going to go to the pits for sure, and then all of a sudden they either told him to stay out and he tried to make that avoidance, but boy, what a big mistake that is under the caution to have a wreck like that.
Just when the race was going so well for the 5 for the Action Express Corvette, Donahue had been running 3rd all race long, challenging John Fogarty for 2nd place. This was a contender. This is our championship leading car.
And John's not doing anything at all. He's not trying to get out. He's not got the door open. Now you see him moving around in there. Nobody's come to help him either, which is a bit alarming to me.
Understand he was told to stay in the car. I mean, I'm sure they're trying to see once they back that thing out of the ground that it's in to see what sort of damage is on that front splitter design. The new Riley, of course.
You know, looking at this right here, you wouldn't imagine anything would be wrong with anybody because the car's just sitting there off the road. But of course, if you see the crash, you see how violent that stop really was.
Apex speed there in turn 7 is about 80 miles an hour, and he may have slowed it down a little bit more than that, but 75 to 0 in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and like 3 feet.
Working through our onboard key for Max Angelelli. This is Patrick Dempsey. And there will be a throng of pit stops about to occur under this caution, which appears to be quite a lengthy one. The rescue crews are now on track, and they are heading towards John Pugh's stranded Ford Riley for Mike Schenck Racing. Not only does he need rescuing, but the track needs considerable cleanup.
Now, let me say, as a driver, you know, you see what happened right there with John Pugh. When he went off the track, he wasn't holding on really hard or anything because he didn't think there was going to be any kind of impact. He was driving through the grass to re-enter the racetrack. He had no idea the car was going to come to that abrupt stop.
You can see if you could drive forward, man.
This is really going to hurt guys like Westbrook, Fogarty have not pitted yet, because remember, pit lane closes. These guys are going to need fuel within the next handful of laps. There we see the leader. The leader is
Pits are open now, David.
Remember, Rojas.
Yeah, guys hooking up to the back of you right now. Getting ready.
Rojas stays out. He will assume the lead. Or they could do a quick splash and get through it in if they decided to, but I think Timmy King will keep Rojas out there on the racetrack.
Gainsco car is in. John Fogarty's opening stint done.
And this car has been good on tires all weekend long. It remains that way. They felt like they needed to increase the cold pressures a little bit. They didn't come up quite as much as they wanted to. Other than that, car in perfect shape, not a mark on it, Chris.
Well, Brian, all I've heard is Daytona prototype drivers saying they've lost the grip at the front or the rear. Richard West put quiet on the radio that entire stint. This car working well. Check with Troy Fliss. He said, we're making no changes, no air pressure changes, no wing changes. Just putting the Matador, Antonio Garcia behind the wheel. 4 tires.
This is going to be tight. The drag race off the pit lane. He just sneaks it there. Garcia maintains the track position on the 99. You could see.
Good job, guys. Good job.
These are both the Corvette Daytona prototypes, but one is a right-hand drive, one is a left-hand drive, the 99 car. You could see how tricky it was for Gurney to get in that car with the refueling being done on that side of the car, whereas the 99 car, nice and easy. You're out of the action on the other side of the race car.
And that's really the only disadvantage of sitting on one side or the other is the point that you bring up right there. As they got the 5 car back going in. Oh, look here. Now, if that didn't damage the car, Calvin, I am going to be completely amazed.
One thing's for sure,
It doesn't look like a kid.
there is no air going through that radiator, that's for sure. There is a wall of soil. Meanwhile, you saw David Donahue get rescued, and he is headed on to pit lane. However, there's another story. The other Action Express car, here is Donahue with a grill full of pebbles and stones. We're going to keep an eye on Joao Barbosa. JC France pitted early. Barbosa got in and was storming his way through the field. He did not get back onto the lead lap. But he is going to be a contender at the end of this race. That caution is helping his cause for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It helped a bunch of guys who had made that single pit stop. The guys who had not, well, they got hurt a little bit, but they've still got fast race cars, and they're still at the pointy end of this grid right now. So, you know, these are just the lucky breaks you can grab. I mean,
rip it off. Rip it off. Rip it off.
try to be as efficient as they can in this pit stops and tear off that grill if you need to.
Yeah, and it's a good thing they did. You see how much rock was behind that grill that they wouldn't have been able to get to. And, of course, those stones beating around on the front of the radiator wouldn't last very long either.
This is the man to keep an eye on, working his way through the field. JC France handed over to Joao Barbosa. Remember, Barbosa is a Rolex 24 at Daytona race winner. He's also become an instant YouTube star. Maybe you've seen it when he took his wife for a ride around Daytona International Speedway. It's got almost 1 million hits, and it's one of the funniest things at his wife's expense. It's one of the funniest videos you'll ever see. The Shank car is in, but let's hear from a man who really set the GT field alight. Here's Emil Asentado.
Well, Emil Asentado always has a smile on his face, but it's even bigger today, Emil. How special was it out there leading this race in the new Ferrari?
Fantastic. What a moment. I can't believe it. Our expectations were surpassed today. We expected hopefully just have a clean car after the first stint, get on the podium. We might even win this thing the way it's going.
And Jeff Siegel behind a very clean Ferrari right now, and we know it's certainly fast.
What a good guy, too. I had him back in Skip Barber Driving School years and years ago. Both of the drivers, as a matter of fact. And we talk about Pro-Am. You know, some of these guys make their living. We call them the pros. And, of course, some people do something else for a living. He isn't one of those drivers. But don't take that away from a very accomplished race car driver is Emil Asentado.
Fantastic opening stint. Great performance in qualifying. He followed up with a great race run. Here we see the 60 car. Looks like the splitter may be okay. They're just changing the main part of the Riley nose there. So must be a very strong design on the new Riley to withstand such a great impact with the grass.
Looks like Joe Foster to me behind the wheel of the number 40 Mazda. There's been a string of stops. The APR Audi, great looking car. We've got plenty to tell you about that across the course of the race. So much to catch up on. Pit stops underway, and we'll step away just for a moment. We're back here at Barber. We're under our third full course caution, and we're slowly working our way to get ready to roll.
We suggested Timmy King kept Memo Rojas out on the racetrack. He now has the lead of this race. I think he could have even brought him in and splashed him with fuel and still got the lead with the length of the other guys making their pit stops, but they're probably just working their strategy to the tire life right now. So very difficult to pass around here. Joao Barbosa right behind the lead right now. He is one lap down.
Clear, let's go.
And he will be forceful. Watch that second place car, white, blue and red. Joao Barbosa will try and get by the Mexican Memo Rojas.
Look at this, Ryan Dial is now behind the wheel of the 8 machine. Remember that tremendous performance that he put in at Daytona. Looking for a way by Alex Gurney, who now rides the wheel of the Red Dragon.
He's top 5 right now if they're watching for sure. You got some real aggressive drivers. I know he's got pretty decent rubber. Look at the 90 taking a run.
Garcia on the brakes on Barbosa down into turn 5. Good clean pass.
Clear.
Barbosa gave him room. That's good professional driving. Angelelli, the axe. He's mixing it up at the 5.
Woo! He just runs him out. Just runs him out wide there. Said, I'm not going to play that game. So the Action Express number 5 takes another run through the dirt.
This one hurt it, too. I could see from across the gravel right there, across that road.
Darren Law is behind the wheel and taken over from David Donahue.
That was big. I'm interested to see the replay because as Max Angelelli went out wide, you saw the front end of that car of Darren Law come up. Here we go.
That was a good clean pass there. Now we're muscling to the inside. Watch as we come off the corner. Just pushes him out now. See, I told you that was a big hit, and I think it broke something on the right front.
I'd hate to race against you if you thought the first one was clean. Look at this.
The first one was good.
On the inside, you're riding with Angelelli. Law on the outside. There's the first hit. And then Angelelli continues to run out wide. And Darren runs out of space. Bang.
Max knew he was there. He could feel him. They were trading paint. And he enter a little bit of room there. Pretty aggressive driving by Max Angelelli, but knowing Darren Law, he knows how tough Max is, so he's got to expect that.
The thing was, as it bounced off of the front of the car, came off the ground, and it went across that little road there. It dug in real hard, so something broke.
Apologies, that was our second full course caution earlier. This is now the third,
right.
And we head down to the SunTrust camp.
Well, they don't call him Max the Axe Angelelli for nothing. Give no quarter, take no quarter. Wayne, you were just looking at it on the replay. Barber's known for tight racing. That was a little more than tight.
They were both racing, you know. We've been struggling with the front tires, and there was a gap, and I wasn't in the driver's seat, so I'm not sure. I mean, both guys were racing. Happens in racing, doesn't it?
Happens in racing, Wayne Taylor says, Chris.
Well, Richard Westbrook has finally had a chance to cool off, and Richard, by the sound of the radio, obviously you were just cruising out front, because everybody else complaining, you guys weren't complaining, the 90's working well.
Well, I don't know about not cruising. You know, it's pretty tough out there. It's a very busy track, so it's difficult with the traffic, but I have to thank all the GT drivers. They were really fair. But yeah, the track's getting slick. It started off the track, felt really good, but it's really going off as people are going Vaseline and going offline. But we seem to manage it pretty well, so you know, I'm really happy, but you know, it's still a long way to go.
You were all clear out front. Now that Antonio's behind the 01, is that going to change that car at all?
No, I think we should be fine, because the 01's just been told pitted out of sequence, so he's on slightly older tyres. It is all about tyres here, and you know, we're in good shape on that, because Antonio's just put a fresh set on, and we've got plenty more to come. So yeah, you know, it's looking good. It's a good start.
You saw that contact between the 10 and the 5 car. Corvette teammates essentially there. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's looking at that, it's probably welcome to ground down racing. That looks to me a bit unnecessary, but I'm sure that's part of the racing.
Hey Chris, yesterday in qualifying after that pole run, Richard was on the radio to the team saying lovely jubbly. Would he like to explain that to the American viewers for us? Lovely jubbly?
Calvin is wondering what you meant by lovely jubbly on the radio after qualifying yesterday.
That means I was pretty happy, and it's probably not what he thought I meant.
He is one of the characters, and we're really pleased to have Richard Westbrook in the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series, that's for sure. You know, this has not been a super track for Wayne Taylor's SunTrust number 10 team. There's been multiple incidents and accidents over the years that have stopped them from progressing, that's for sure. They have also seen victory lane here, but they have had some tough runs, and it's been an eventful day already for both Ricky Taylor and Max Angelelli. There's that first contact with Darren Law.
I don't think Darren knew he was there, really.
Yeah, it's kind of a 50-50 moment there, but at that point, Max knows that Darrenister is outside, and you know if you wash out all the way to the outside of this corner, you're going to take someone for a ride.
Yeah, I would have braked right there. I wouldn't have let myself be pushed into that. But look right here as he crosses this road. Look at the damage that the car has done, so something's broken.
It's a late move by Max there, but legitimate. I mean, but at that point, you've got to allow yourself to go side by side coming off the corner.
Well, it has been a tough day for the Action Express team. Let's go there right now.
And you can see the emotion on David Donahue's face. He's not happy. David, you saw the replay there. What happened to Darren? What did Darren say anything on the radio?
I didn't hear. It just looks like Ken Carr didn't give him any room, just ran him off the outside.
We also saw you have a problem trying to come to pit lane. What happened there?
I was told we were pitting. I was stuck behind a slow GT car. I thought he just wasn't catching the pack. And when I said, all right, pit, I'm pitting, they told me not to, and I turned, and the car changed direction, but then the front just completely washed out. I went straight. We were straight across the gravel. Gravel didn't slow me down at all.
Well, tough weekend back at the Rolex 24 with this team. All the electrical problems. Tough weekend in round 2 at Barber.
You can't believe how much work goes on behind the scenes, Monday to Friday, late nights, early mornings with the teams to be ready. They've been waiting 2 months for this day, and it's over as quick as that. For those of you joining us late, let's bring you up to speed with a race recap. Pole sitter Richard Westbrook in that blue number 90 Spirit of Daytona Corvette off to a great start. There was a couple of early incidents of contact here. Ricky Taylor, Alex Popov, this was a big one. Steve Berthow and fellow TRG Porsche driver Emilio de Guida come together. And then Eric Foss, who was running up front in that Porsche, had a stuck throttle.
Yeah, big moment there. Then Memo Rojas had a big lock up here. Flat spot at the left front. They had to call him into pit lane. Ricky Taylor trying to get through the GT traffic. Taps Patrick Dempsey. He loses a spot to John Pugh. And then Joao Barbosa on fresher tires, but a lap out, trying to force his way through the 99. Then a really nasty moment here, Dorsey.
And you see right there as John Pugh gets put off the track by the 43 re-entering and just shovels the nose in, stopping quite abruptly.
Most recently, Max Angelelli runs Darren Law out wide, and you can see exactly what Darren Law is feeling. He is less than impressed with Max the Axe Angelelli, and that's the reason for this most recent full-course caution. So the fans enjoying the view from the hillside here, and here at the Porsche 250, here are some important figures for you. And lost just a couple of cars out of the race. 3 cautions, so we've leveled what we had last year. 3 cautions for 16 laps last year. However, we still have just under an hour and a half remaining in this race. 42 laps into this one. Round 2 of the 2012 championship. And it's been eventful, Dorse, already.
Yeah, and you know, we're talking about 3 cautions tying last year. I don't think we're quite over with that yet, to be honest.
No, it's been pretty wild and woolly, and the boys have not played well together today, that's for sure. There's going to be a lot of very frustrated drivers in the paddock after the checkered flag tonight.
And one of them is Darren Law. Here he is.
Well, the 5 car and Darren Law have made their way back to the paddock. Going to try and repair the 5 car. But Darren, what happened on the racetrack with the 10?
Chris, that is the worst piece of dirty driving I've ever seen. He and I went side by side through the corner. We could have easily stayed side by side. He drove me so far into the grass. It was such BS, man. We're going to have a talk for sure.
Well, you can see lots of damage to the front of the 5 car. The team already has a new nose ready to go. They're also going to have to look at the suspension on the right front, so this could be a lengthy stop, and this car might not be on track the rest of the day.
Okay, you're right about one thing. There's been an angry paddock.
Memo Rojas leads the field. The green, the caution is over, but Antonio Garcia and Joao Barbosa, they want to make up ground. Gurney is in the mix. So too is Ryan Dial.
Boy, this is going to set up a real tussle here with Memo car in the front. Of course, it's good for Timmy to put him up there because he's trying position, but I don't think he's got the speed to stay there.
Garcia looks to the inside. Now, we talked about patience as being one of the keys to this race. How patient will Garcia be? The 90 car has been up to a second and a half faster than the 01 car in the early stages of this race. But right now, Memo Rojas does have that track position.
We are hearing that Max Angelelli in that SunTrust Corvette is going to get a stop and go plus 10 seconds for his on-track actions and behavior.
That's about a 30-second penalty. Pit lane here, just driving down at the speed limit will cost you about 21 seconds plus the 10-second hold.
These guys getting the tires now back up to temperature, and they'll get aggressive here within the end of this next lap, I would think.
Still to be a driver change performed with the 01. Scott Pruitt yet to take the wheel of the Telmex BMW Riley. That's the lead car, but for how much longer? I don't think too long, because that 90 Spirit of Daytona Corvette.
Watch right here. If he can come back under and get the power down early, they'll take a run on him down into turn 1. Get the launch.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer here, and unless it gets blocked.
Memo defends. Listening to Timmy Keane talk to his drivers yesterday, he said, you're going to have to be aggressive. If I can get you that track position, you need to get aggressive and try and maintain it. That's what Rojas is doing right now.
It wasn't a block. He made one move. He did not breathe.
We've seen him on a number of occasions. Memo Rojas very much takes a back seat to Scott Pruitt, of course, because of Scott Pruitt's history. But Rojas is a multi-time champion in his own right. We've seen him grow and mature and get tougher and more aggressive over the years. Angelelli has performed his penalty.
Yeah, it'll cost him about half a lap approximately, so it's going to be a long day for those guys, but just have to keep grinding away. Calm Manx down. I'm sure he'll have a different version of events. You can guarantee that after the race, but right now, Simon Hudson and the team need just to talk Max through this race and get him back in the top points.
How long can Rojas stay on top?
He's got every right to defend his inside position, take the inside away, make the passing car go the wrong way around. However, by doing that, all the cars that are beyond second place, beyond the 90, are going to stack up behind, and frustration will set in.
Right here is where I think he struggles a little bit, and the front really will not bite. They're not allowed the same amount of aero grip that the Corvette is allowed with the dive planes and stuff on that Riley chassis. It really hurts him trying to get turned into 14 and through that whole segment of the racetrack. Here comes Garcia again. He's going to expect Rojas to go to the middle of the road. He's got to think it through.
Nice work was the call from team manager Tim Keen to Memo Rojas. What a week for Mexican drivers. Sergio Perez last week in the Malaysian Formula One Grand Prix finishing second. And here is one of Mexico's most popular sports people, not motorsports people, sports people. Memo Rojas is defending from Antonio Garcia.
And this is going to be tough when you go down the inside like that. It literally leaves the door wide open for Garcia. Get on the power early. He's going to be side by side. They're going to trade paint if Rojas wants to not give up this lead.
Being coached on, being encouraged by his team manager, and he's hanging tough, but for how much longer? Here comes Barbosa and Gurney arriving on the scene.
There are some areas of this racetrack, Lee, is really hard to defend. You suddenly go offline to protect that inside. It just allows the guy behind you to get a much bigger radius coming off the turn.
And it gets more complex because it allows third and fourth place, which are stacked up already, to get on your rear bumper, so you don't want that either.
Remember, Barbosa in car 9 is a lap down. He's trying to get onto the lead lap. That's the third car in shot.
I think that really helps Garcia because he knows that Barbosa will probably be a little bit more patient. Right here is where I think that 90 car's a lot stronger. Through this section. What will he do? Will he go to the inside now? Patience is a factor here. That is a dangerous move. That is high risk. High risk.
And this is one Riley chassis car out in front fighting off 3 Corvettes.
And now you got Barbosa in the mix because that opened the door for him to make a run. And not quite enough. Antonio's going to have to look out the front and the back.
Garcia, with all his experience, the team needs to be on the radio to him saying, you have the strongest car in this race. Do not throw it away. Pick your moment.
They've been at the front of this race from the drop of the flag. It's been an outstanding day for Spirit of Daytona. And now patience is the key, as Dorsey and Calvin highlighted.
Fortunately for Memo Rojas, this is the type of racetrack being so narrow that being in the lead, it's easy to defend that position and take the advantage.
Remember, Rojas has 9 laps less fuel on board as well. That could be a factor in terms of being patient with him.
GT class, we haven't seen it in a while. It's Jonathan Bomarito for Sylvain Tremblay's Speed Source team, leading the way over Lee Keen and Andy Lally. So it's Mazda, Porsche, and then another Mazda with Dane Cameron for the Salins team is running fourth at the moment. What does Syl think about this, Brian?
Sylvain Tremblay very happy down here. And Syl, we talked earlier about long runs are good for your car. You got that long run early. Strategy has also helped put you out in front. What kind of car does Jonathan have?
Listen, we got a black car that we had last year. We're pretty excited about it. Our Castrol Moss Space RX-8 has been great. And he's got a pretty good car. We worked really hard on the long run because we knew that what this place has, the grip has gone away. It's a great facility, but the asphalt was not weathered real well. The engineering staff at Speed Source has done an amazing job. We got a great Mazda. We're doing what we need to do. Just want to say hi to Steve Sanders at home. Hopefully he's getting better. And to the family at home.
You know, the guys were talking about how difficult it is to pass here and how important track position is. Once you've got the lead, you'll be able to hold it till the end.
It was important to be out front, especially for a guy like Jonathan, who's so fast. So we did our part. So we're just trying to get the time to go. So it's hard to pass here. Jonathan knows how to make that RX-8 pretty wide.
Right now, he knows how to make it fast, too, guys.
Yes, he does. We all agree on that. And talking to David Haskell, who really works the strategy for that team, he said a lot of the teams kept throwing tires on, and they'd be a second and a half, 2 seconds faster. But we knew on old rubber we were still keeping a good balance on the race car. Come race time, that's proven to be true.
Another thing that's helping is the battle of the Porsches right now. You're seeing Lee Keen right there having to defend from a fellow Porsche driver, Andy Lally, of course, who was the winner at the 24 Hours of Daytona.
And there's some heavy hearts at Magnus Racing this week with the loss of a dear friend of the paddock, in fact, but particularly to Magnus Racing. Larry Sauer passed away recently, and you'll see a decal on the rear wing end plates of the cars. The drivers have it on their helmets, just remembering Larry. So for Carroll and Flynn, our thoughts are with Larry. Back up front, and the pressure is not being relieved on Memo Rojas. Antonio Garcia, they call him the Matador. The Spanish driver is not letting him out of his sights. This is good, tense, hard racing.
Yeah, he doesn't say much. He lets his driving do the talking. And boy, is he an ace behind the wheel of one of these cars. The team is so excited about the driver pairing of Garcia and Westbrook. Garcia will not do all of the rounds this year. They're still trying to search for someone who's going to plug in and play when Garcia's not around. But he'll certainly be a strong driver.
Gurney's got a good view there of Barbosa. Can Barbosa do some bulldozing through the pack and make life a little easier for Alex? We'll find out when we come back. But boy, it's on at the front. And yes, there's some of the beautiful exhibits in the world famous Barber Motorsports Museum here in Birmingham, Alabama, all 144,000 square feet of it. The multi-layer museum is just delightful. Like this race, wouldn't call it delightful for Memo Rojas.
Oh, look at
left
this.
The door open. Here comes Garcia, and he stole his way.
What a move.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You hate to criticize, but you know that GT car is going to swing out wide and push that car there, Dorsey. Garcia just flashed through.
Yeah, he saw it all. He read it, and he knew it was going to happen. That's the thing. There was no slow. Just really went for the execution and did it.
Memo was a little bit closer, so he had the momentum and committed to that outside move, but you knew the GT car was moving up a little bit, and Garcia was throwing a flash. And really just a testimony to the downforce on that car that he was able to just plow it down in there and make it stick.
Turned it down and went for it.
Spirit of Daytona. The Chevy Corvette leads the BMW Riley. Got a little bit loose there, and here comes Gurney. Now, that's not a move for position, but it does make life better for Alex Gurney in the red 99 Gainsco Auto Insurance Corvette. Barbosa is fighting for it because he's fighting to get back on the lead lap, but now that job has become increasingly more difficult.
It really has, and you could see Rojas, as soon as he tried to take that speed into turn 5, Dorsey, the front just washed out there, just not getting the grip on the front end of that Riley right now, like the 90 car is.
Let's take you back just a few moments ago, and let's show you something that occurred with this car. The Comex BMW Riley for Chip Ganassi. Antonio Garcia is the second car in pursuit of that lead. Whoa!
Boy, he was looking in the rearview mirror and watching Garcia, and hadn't cleared that Audi, and actually just drove right into the Audi.
Wow, it's a little bit of a misjudgment there. When now Aaron is going to be a stop on last 10.
And there's damage to the right rear corner of the wing end plate of the 01. Look at the right rear bodywork behind the tire. You can see where the contact with the Audi was made.
That was Stephen Kane in that 74 Audi. That was a close.
I agree there needs to be consistency with these cores, but I don't see that in the same vein as the Angelelli incident.
I mean, literally he was looking at the rearview mirror to see where Garcia was and just didn't see that he wasn't clear of the Audi when he cut down across on him.
Championship leading Mike Shank racing forward here with Oz Negri behind the wheel, celebrating his 100th Rolex Series start today. It has not gone the way he and his co-driver John Pugh would have liked. And we're going to hear from John right now with Chris.
Yeah, a lot of these prototype teams having a tough day, and our Rolex 24 winners also having a tough day. John, you kind of came over that brow, and all of a sudden there was a GT car there right in front of you.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. There was a waving yellow there, and I slowed down coming around the corner, and I just was expecting the usual spin towards the bottom, and all of a sudden this car comes rolling out of nowhere right in the middle of the track. It was either T-bone him or go off track and try to take a ride through the grass. I mean, it's unfortunate because I know we had a podium car, really good car, and old tires, and it's unfortunate for the whole team.
Yeah, too bad for this team because they are always strong at Barber Motorsports Park.
Let's show you what happened if you weren't with us a little earlier. This is Joe Nonamaker trying to get going again, and just wrong time, wrong place. But watch the abrupt stop that happens here with John Pugh.
Lifted the whole back end of the car completely off the ground when that nose dug in and shoveled in. Watch, right on board.
Here's what John was saying and talking about. Nowhere to go. Bam.
Man, that's a violent stop.
Splitter really stood up to it very well. We didn't see all of the pit stop exchange in terms of fixing that. It looked like the main splitter part held up pretty damn good.
Pretty darn strong, I'd say. Something like that.
So Alex Gurney has caught Memo Rojas very quickly, very effectively. And Rojas has really got his hands full in that downhill turn 5 left-hander.
Yeah, it's just pushing. They had a lot of push in the car, understeer with the front, just won't turn where you want it to go. And you can see it there in turn 5. When you keep driving it like that, or you've got that condition and balance in the car, it's just going to really grind on that front tire. This could make the condition worse. We also hear that he may be getting a penalty for that hit with that Audi earlier in this race.
Wonder what the thoughts are from the big man, the boss, Chip Ganassi. Let's hear from him now.
Well, it's been a tough start for this team. 6th place at the Rolex 24. Now a penalty. Chip Ganassi down here in the box. Chip, you saw that replay. What are your thoughts?
Well, it was unfortunate, Chris. I mean, you know, I don't know that the 74 lost any positions there. I think he kept going. I'm sure Memo didn't do that on purpose. But, you know, obviously it looks like it's going to be a penalty here.
It's going to be a tough day for you guys. How do you rebound at Homestead?
Well, you just got to go out and rebound and do well. I mean, there's no better way to rebound than doing well in a race.
Well, we can see Scott Pruitt still not behind the wheel, waiting for his turn to get behind the wheel of the 01. He's got his helmet on, but he's got his arms crossed, and he's not happy.
Yeah, he won't be able to do it right now because you can't do any servicing with a penalty pit stop like this.
And Chip had a point right there where, the car that got involved didn't get hurt in its position on the racetrack. It continued on. I mean, it was an unfortunate incident. And I agree, it was definitely not something done intentionally.
So they knew they were going to have to play catch-up, they being Chip Ganassi racing with Felix Savadas. It happens and all over again. Antonio Garcia leads this race by just under 3 seconds over Alex Gurney, and Ryan Dial, after that Starworks Ford Riley was involved in a crash earlier in the race, is up to third. Here's the incident we're talking about. Stephen Kane on the left, and the slightest of contact there between Rojas and that Audi R8 sends Stephen Kane for a ride on the grass, and that's what the penalty was for.
Well, hats off to Stephen Kane. At least he caught that one,
So Rojas back out on track and plays the catch-up game once again. Lucas Luer is out there in the second Starworks car. Angelelli is back in 6th. Barbosa in 7th. And in GT, Jonathan Bomarito leads the way for the Sweet Sauce Mazda team. GT leader, and boy, it's sweet. It has not been a good weekend as far as being at the top of the timesheets for this team, but perhaps that was on purpose. They had their plan. They knew what their car could and couldn't do. They being Speed Source, Jonathan Bomarito behind the wheel, and he is leading very nicely at the moment over Lee Keane and Andy Lally, a couple of Porsches. Incidentally, this is the Porsche 250. A Porsche has never won the GT class here at this racetrack over the last 9 years. Look at these guys go at it. You've got the reigning GT champ and the Rolex 24 winner. Spencer Pumpelly is ahead there in the 67, but it's Lee Keane and Andy Lally just boxing it out. And then you've got the FXDD Ferrari with Jeff Siegel, who's worked his way back up to 4.
Yeah, he has, because that Ferrari has been super quick all day long. I think they got caught out with that early caution there, got boxed in with the pace car and lost a bit of track position. So he's very fast. We've got to be careful, because Lally and Lee Keane are really digging it out right in front of him. He's got to be patient here. We talked about it at the beginning of this race. You have to be patient to win here at Barber. Right now, he has to be careful. It's a fast race car. Don't force the issue, Dorsey.
All that juking back and forth, you got to watch that, because it really throws everybody off running. Nobody knows where to go.
This is an awesome field. It may not be one of the largest car counts we've seen in Rolex Series history, but across the two classes, we have got 12 Grand Am Rolex Series champions, and you've got 3 of them here, 1, 2, and 3, all fighting it out in GT. It's good stuff, Brian.
Good stuff indeed. And we saw Emil Asentado hit that 69 Ferrari early on, and then they got lost in the shuffle a little bit during one of the cautions. I asked Ian Willis about their strategy, and he said, what about the 45-minute rule? Doesn't that still exist? And we actually said, no, that has changed, and he wasn't aware of it. So their strategy was based on a rule no longer in play, but Jeff Siegel fighting his way back towards the front, Chris.
Well, Brian, we got a nice battle second, third, and fourth right now, but Andrew Davis, that little Mazda up front, is running away from you guys. It looks like the Mazda is the package to have today.
Well, certainly, from my stint, it was obvious that the Mazdas were the best on the tires. They were doing a good job. I realized very quickly that I wasn't going to be able to challenge for any positions. I just had to maintain where I was and try and save tires and fuel. I talked to Lee on the radio when I got out of the car and told him the same thing. I basically said, look, Lee, we're going to sneak up on the podium or get a win out of this. It's going to be on strategy, on trying to be conservative with the tires and just being smart. There's a lot of aggressive driving out there. We just got to keep the 59 out of trouble.
Well, they're starting off the year well. That second place at Daytona, and hopefully keep that car in second place today.
Jeff Siegel slides the Ferrari into the 3rd spot ahead of Andy Lally under braking for turn 5 there. Remember, the 2 Porsches we're looking at, different engine packages. The 44 car had the new 4-liter in practice, but popped that earlier in the weekend. They had to switch back to the 3.8. Lee Keane has the 4-liter, but when you put the 4-liter in, Dorsey, you get 75 pounds of weight added. That will be a factor on the tire life as well.
4-liter got a little bit nicer drivability, a flat torque curve, which means that you have good power from the low end all the way up to the top of your RPM range. Yet the weight is something that plays in here at this Barber Motorsports Park, particularly on tire wear.
Jeff Siegel just squeezing by that Rick Ware Racing Mustang. Jeffrey Earnhardt is now behind the wheel. And this Ferrari 458 Italia is showing that it is a car to be reckoned with this year. It's the only one in the field. We may see more as the season progresses. But boy, it's showing that it's a nice package, the FXDD machine.
Talked to Jeffrey Earnhardt yesterday and talking about this race car that was built in-house. It's a brand new car. It's not taking advantage at this point of all the rules that it could do, all of the things it could have. It's got a stick axle or a solid rear axle instead of having a transaxle, but it's a work in progress, guys, if you will, as is Jeffrey Earnhardt as he works road racing.
Certainly having an Earnhardt here this weekend has certainly got the media attention. They've really been swarming around him, and would you believe his grandfather even drove a number 15 Ford back in the early 80s, so a lot of synergy right there.
Overall big picture, Garcia leads Gurney by 5 seconds up front of this field. Ryan Dial in the Star Works Ford, Riley is third. This is Joao Barbosa in the 9 working his way through traffic after stopping with an hour and 5 minutes remaining in this race. And we're down to now just an hour and 3 to go. So we'll see if Barbosa can stretch it that long. I'm not sure he can in a Daytona prototype around here. We'll wait and see. Lucas Luer is 4th. Memo Rojas is 5th. Angelelli is 6th. And then Barbosa. This is our GT leading car, Jonathan Bomarito. It's comfortable times at the moment over Keane, Siegel, Lally, the Porsches and Ferraris that are fighting it out. And then the next best Mazda is Dane Cameron, 5th in class for the Salins organization. That's a good job from Dane Cameron.
Mazda's got the lightest GT car in the field, and that certainly does help on the tire wear. And we heard that before, talking about the fact that the Mazda seems to be able to stay up on its tires for a longer amount of miles than the other cars. It's not surprising. It's a pretty neutral weight bias front to rear, and it is the lightest car.
Yeah, I spoke to Jonathan Bomarito. Have you done any testing since Daytona? He said, we really don't need to. He said, this car is fully developed. We've got nowhere to go with it. We'd only be fine-tuning it to the race track on that particular test day. So he said, we've just really been through the car with a fine-tooth comb, making sure everything is perfect as we hit the sprint race season. But he said, really, this car is tapped out in terms of potential. There is a really unique engine on the drawing board, though, for next year. Wait for news on that shortly.
Brian, we saw Joe Foster get the Dempsey Racing number 40 up into the top 10. He pitted. He's dropped out of that now. Meanwhile, the sister car with Charles Putman behind the wheel has got into the top 10. So good day for Dempsey Racing.
Yeah, it's been an up and down day for Dempsey Racing, Lee. And Patrick, first of all, you had a little excitement out there with the number 10 SunTrust Daytona prototype. How did it look from your seat?
I didn't see much from my seat except spinning around there. Yeah, it's very tricky. I mean, we got to take that corner move with an angle, and I thought he gave me enough room to get through there. He was a little aggressive, which is unfortunate. We had a good race going up until that point. It just put us back a little bit too far. We didn't lose a lap, thank goodness, but it's one of the things when you're out there with the DPs, they've got to give you a little and you got to give them. It's unfortunate that that happened. They usually are very clean. I think he was trying to pick up a position, was very aggressive, and saw an opening I probably shouldn't have left open, and it cost us a little bit.
But the 41 car running good today, though. Charlie Squared, they're doing a good job in the 41.
Yeah, really happy with the 41 car. Charles did a great job in qualifying yesterday. The car is really good. And Charlie's out there doing a great job. He hasn't had a lot of time in that car, and he's getting used to it, and he's doing a great job. So, got to thank Mazda. Share a little sunshine. Everybody's taking care of us, so we got to thank them. So it's good. We're here. We're running around still.
Well, Charlie Espinal will get back in the 41 car and run the final stint. The 40 car, a little problem with the helmet blower for Joe Foster, so he's running a little hot right now.
And it's what this place is renowned for, the hot temperatures of Alabama. However, we are here earlier than we have ever been on the calendar. So a little more comfortable for the guys as we stretch into the final hour of this one. Garcia still on top. What a gorgeous place to have such a prestigious school. Beautiful Barber Motorsports Park here in Birmingham, Alabama. Hundreds and hundreds of acres we sit on here in this first-class facility. And there is someone who knows about driving a Porsche all too well, Spencer Pumpelly. This gets overtaken by the overall race leader, Antonio Garcia, and that TRG 67 car is making its way back from an earlier collision. Meanwhile, the 01 on pit road, so 2 to 2. This time we'll see a driver change with Scott Pruitt climbing behind the wheel.
Tell you what, these boys are going to be really tight on fuel. 57 minutes with only 18.5 gallons is going to be a real stretch for these guys.
Chris is standing by.
Well, we can see Scott Pruitt finally getting his chance to get behind the wheel. The Telmex, Riley, and this team, like you said, Calvin, they are going to be stretching it by trying to make it to the end. But that's about all they can do because they are just about a full lap down. So they're hoping that they can hopefully get a caution here and catch everybody else out on the racetrack. And maybe that will allow them to get back into this race. But it doesn't look like we're going to see that wicker change that they were talking about earlier. So no changes to the car, just fuel and tires.
Timmy Keene playing the hand that he was dealt, I guess. You know, it's the only way he can go. Try to keep this car in track position, get it back out there. Do a fuel mileage run, Calvin. You try to get this thing to get where everybody else has to do a 3-stop, make it onto a little rough. It might work.
Yeah, and I'm surprised they didn't do that wicker change because you could see some understeer in the car. Scott now gets up to speed immediately, slicing his way through some GT traffic. And Scott can handle a car that's a little bit free, a little bit looser than Mamo. So I would have thought they'd have gone a lower downforce configuration on the rear wing, but not so.
Pruitt comes out right in the thick of it. The battle for third in GT between Lee Keane and Andy Lally. Have a look how dirty that 44 Magnus Porsche is. Andy's been dropping wheels off. Maybe even Lee Keane's been dropping wheels off. It's pretty dirty around the bottom end of that car.
You can make yourself a nuisance if you want to. Let's just put it that way. By dropping those wheels in the dirt and splattering the guy behind you with all of his debris.
And guys, just coming back to the 01 to Pruitt, I'm stretching my memory, but I can't remember immediately Scott Pruitt getting in the car this late.
Well, the penalty killed that.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, remember, he flat spotted the tire. They had to pit take fuel then, and Pruitt wasn't ready, nor was expected Mamo to be in on that lap, so he wasn't ready to go, and he had to double stint Mamo.
It was a tough Rolex 24 for Bob Stallings' boys, the Gainsco Auto Insurance 99 team, but today's looking a whole lot better.
Yeah, Daytona was another race. They come to Barber, and John, you guys have had a good car all weekend long. One more stop, and then Alex should run it to the checkered flag. Good on long runs, it seems like.
You know, good to the bulk of the field, but the 90 seems to have a measure of us this weekend. But the Red Dragon and the Gainesville crew is doing a good job. We have a little bit too much understeer. Otherwise, we're pretty happy. In a good position. Hopefully, we can give them something at the end there. William and Allison, be nice to your mom. But we're happy. You know, it's definitely a better result, better run for us so far relative to Daytona.
Talk about understeer. Is that something that's high speed that you can fix with a wicker change, or is it just what Alex has to the end?
Unfortunately, no. We're really ripping through the back section, and the car's hooked up through the chicane and the other stuff. It's these long duration slow corners Barber's kind of notorious for, and the car's just kind of dead in the middle of those, and we struggle there. But you know, we're trying to be conservative with the tires and make sure we have something there at the end. It's going to be interesting. You know, the 10 and the 9, or the 9 and the 01, I think, are going to have a shot at it if they have good tires at the end. It's an interesting strategy that's playing out.
A lot of different hands being played right now. We'll have to wait and see how it turns out. But the 99 got a good car. Swiped with a little too much understeer, guys.
Big change for that team this weekend. Long-time engineer there, Carl Brandon's left that team, and veteran John Ward is in. He's going to be doing another series as well, so we're going to miss him at a couple of events, including New Jersey. So it's really going to be a battle for that team on the technical department to stay on track, so to speak, and keeping the direction pointing where they need to be with the setup.
And that's huge, because just like a basketball, baseball, football team, sometimes the personnel behind the scenes that you don't see play such a major role. And Bob Stallings' team's like a family, and they've had the same family members for so many years. That was a big change. So good to see that it hasn't had too much ill effect with the car running second. The 88 is in.
Jordan Taylor brings the 88, and he was having a good tussle there with Eric Kern in the 31 Corvette, but time for some fuel and tires.
Lead in 7th spot, and all these guys, they're going to be tight on fuel as well. Chris?
Well, Lee Keane, third place in GT, coming to pit lane for his final stop. Going to do fuel and tires on this Porsche. Doesn't look like the team's making any changes. Talked to Hurley Haywood, and he said, yeah, the car's a handful, both front and back, but we aren't going to make any air pressure changes. It's just what we've got today, and you've got to take care of the tires the first half of the stint. Brian?
Jordan Taylor doing a good job of taking care of the tires, I should say, on the Auto House Camaro. One of the things that they had done was taped off the front in qualifying to get that good qualifying run. You can't do that in the race because that's going to increase the temperature of both the oil and the water in the engine too high. So that aerodynamic aid that they use in qualifying, they don't have here for the race. Jordan Taylor now away with 4 new Continental tires.
Good peel out of the pits right there. He dropped that jack in there. He was gone.
These guys are going to be a little bit tight on fuel. Maybe they're banking on a caution here, Dorsey, to save them some fuel before the checkered flag, but definitely stretch. And remember, the majority of these teams lost some fuel cell capacity as well.
Rolling the dice, but I kind of agree with that call, because the way this race is shaping up, and has been running out, and the cautions, although we haven't had one in a while, it looks like all the time they're imminent.
9th place finish at the Rolex 24 for the 88 Auto House Camaro.
Chris, what are you hearing down there on pit lane on GT fuel?
Well, you know, we're getting some of these leaders coming in, and I was pretty surprised that the 59 was coming in when they did, so I quickly asked Hurley, are they good on fuel? He gave me a nod. I just asked him again, are you sure you're good? And he gave me a nod, yes.
Okay.
Well, Well, this racetrack does get very good fuel mileage because there's so many corners you can't run full throttle very often. You look at the percentage of full throttle used at this racetrack, it's very low because you're always off the gas. So it makes pretty good mileage, but still pushing it.
Let's get an update as the 31 Marsh Corvette comes in. Let's get an update on that 88 Camaro with Brian Till.
I just checked in with the team down here, Calvin, and they said you must be doing metric math. They think they're going to be pretty good to go all the way to the checkered flag.
Good. Good for them. I hope.
This is the car. You may remember that Joey Logano crashed in spectacular fashion at Watkins Glen last summer. The car, according to team principal Teddy Marsh, the damage looked a lot worse than what it was, but the car never saw the racetrack again for the remainder of the season. They finished with their original car, but it's good to have that one back in the competition at Grand Am.
Refinements on that car as they rebuilt it. It basically, underneath the chassis was okay. The rest of it was a throwaway, so they take the time not only to fix it, but to tidy up all the little loose ends and the gaps between bodywork and stuff that helps along the air.
GT class leading car is in. Jonathan Bomarito brings the Speed Source Mazda to a stop.
The other cars pit, it really forces the hand of the leader. They can't afford to go yellow and have the pit lane closed. Brian.
First and second, and GT on pit road at the same time. Now it's a battle between the crew members right now. Speed Source team going to work. That car in good shape. Remember, they like long runs, but this Ferrari, the 69 at AIM, fast all weekend long, and in the hands of Jeff Siegel right now has been absolutely magic. What Jonathan Bomarito is hoping for, a lot of green flags to the end of this race. Waiting for the rest of the Sunoco fuel to go in. The car is down. Bomarito away already, and they're still working on the left front. Down here on the Ferrari, fuel still going in. Jeff Siegel will be back shortly.
This is a huge moment and a huge day for Spirit of Daytona Racing. They've never won a Daytona prototype race, and they're within 49 minutes of doing it. Chris?
Yeah, Lee, and this team was so fast out of the box last year, but they just couldn't seem to put a complete race together. Well, this is the last piece of the puzzle here, this final pit stop. We saw some mistakes last year on pit lane, tire changes, long on fuel, but this one they've got to get perfect. And Troy Fliss saying they could have come to pit lane a couple laps earlier, but he's been a little bit concerned about how this car takes fuel, so he wanted to stretch it a little bit longer and make sure that they could get it all the way. Tires done, just waiting on fuel, and
this is a devastating call for Eric Kern in the 31 Whelen Corvette. He hit a tire while leaving the pits. It's an automatic stop and go plus 30 seconds.
I think it might have been the hose around the rear end of the car. When he peeled out of there, I saw the hose move like he was underneath the rear. Hose under the rear wheel, possibly.
Yeah, you can't hit pit equipment. That's automatic. It's supposed to be a big safety issue, so they give a pretty big penalty. Stop and go plus 30.
So here is Pruitt in the 01. We saw the Gainsco machine. It's there with Alex Gurney behind the wheel. He inherited the race lead after Garcia pitted. Shows you just how far back the 01 is. So in danger of losing that lap. So it's been a very tough day after that penalty to the 01 BMW riding. Now Gurney brings the red Dragon to pit lane for the final time.
Yeah, no problem for these guys. The United car in terms of fuel, they're well within their window. Pruitt, I think, has still got to save a little bit in terms of the Daytona prototype runners.
It'll be interesting to see how quickly can they get out. Where is the Spirit of Daytona Corvette?
They need a perfect stop, Lee. This car's in perfect shape. I don't see a mark on it. A little bit of dust on the front from some of that dirt that was on the track from John Pugh's incident early on. Crew going to work methodically. They need a good stop. No mistakes, much like Spirit of Daytona, but even faster. Tires are on, waiting for the Sunoco fuel. It's going to be a time stop. Stick, they tap the fuel, or he's out. Alex Gurney away.
90's gone by down through turn 1 already, so maintains a really healthy lead, I would say, by the time this gets going.
Yeah, that was comfortable. That was easily comfortable.
DL yet to pit. He now leads this race. Garcia second, and Gurney should slot into third once again. And he was about 10 seconds behind, so there was no magic they could perform on that pit stop, which was going to gain him track position on the 90.
And we're into a good rhythm, a good passage of racing. Remember, 8 out of the 9 years here, whoever has won this race goes on to win the Daytona Prototype Championship. Is that trend going to continue? We'll find out. The 8, the This is the race-leading car on its cycle. That's Ryan Dial for Starworks. Chris?
Now, this is the car that finished second at the Rolex 24. I was listening to Ryan Dial on the radio. He said, I'm just slipping and sliding around, and that was 10 laps before he came in. I asked Peter Barron, what can you do to the car in this last stop? He said, what we need is downforce. We need the dive planes on the front. We need the raised louvers, and we need the rear wing that the Corvettes have, but they can't. So he said the only thing that Ryan can do is better manage his tires in this first half of the last stint.
Yeah, there's a lot of frustration in the paddock this weekend from the non-Corvette DP teams in terms of we need a little bit of downforce on our machine too to make it effective. They really feel like somewhat handicapped here this weekend by not being able to run the full loopers on the front fenders and also those dive planes. So they feel that they'd have enough speed to challenge the Corvettes if they were allowed to use what they thought they had to work within their toolbox.
Well, even though this racetrack is a very abrasive surface, it's known for a lack of grip, so you need all the downforce you can possibly get on the bodywork.
The series is just really trying to performance balance these cars. They're all relatively new, of course. Just this is the second race with this new generation of the Daytona prototype bodywork. They've spent massive amount of time in the wind tunnel trying to really equalize the various chassis and bodywork configurations. And they feel this is the fairest way right now, but I'm sure they're open to some discussion and maybe making some more adjustments in the near future.
This is Andy Lally. He's playing a little bit of catch-up. His car pitted while we were in the last break, and Andy Lally is trying to catch up to Lee Keane, Jonathan Bomarito, Jeff Siegel, etc. Brian standing by at the APR camp.
Dion von Moltke, and this should be the last stop for the 51, this beautiful Audi R8. You know, it didn't run all that well, and they had issues at Daytona, but testing some additional help from Grand Am in the form of a different clutch package. The car has really come alive here at Barber this weekend. They feel like they've got a good race car, especially as they head towards the rest of the season.
Well, they put that clutch pack in, and they made it a racing clutch pack because the stock one that was in there failed and showed right away that it wasn't going to be up to the task of racing. So they fixed that. They also opened up the exhaust, which allowed the engine to breathe a little bit more efficiently.
So Dion von Moltke, Dr. Dumont did a good job earlier in the race, and Dion heads back out. Meanwhile, let's talk Spirit of Daytona with a man who is beginning to bite his fingernails, I would imagine.
Yeah, the man that owns that beautiful Corvette, Troy Fliss, looking for his first Daytona prototype win. Troy, you guys had a great pit stop there. Is there anything you told Antonio to really try and do in these last 40 minutes?
No, I just told him he's got, I think, 31 laps of green flag here. Great tire wear car, everything looks great. So hopefully we go green the rest of the way. We can hopefully be gone, but we're just going to kind of save tires a little bit. If it goes yellow, we'll stop something for him. But just been a great day. Love Barber, love Grand Am Racing.
You got the 99 and the 8 back there. Any concern out of either of those teams, or do you guys think you have this thing won?
Right now, I think we're in a pretty good advantage right now with the lead we've got. But I think if it goes yellow, it sure will be a race because these cars are pretty close. So it'll be exciting.
Well, one of the most beautiful cars on the racetrack. I have to say, it's good to see Troy's car running as well as it is. But, you know, we've watched this car, and I've never seen it go off. I've never seen it slip sideways. He runs these beautiful lines around the racetrack. Just looks like a spot-on textbook.
Troy's such a great guy. He's a great organization, real family feel to that team, but top-notch as well. They've really built the team. It's now one of the leading DP teams in the paddock area. I think they're going to show their form this year in terms of wins, and being a factor for this championship, that is for sure.
Here is the GT fight that continues. Lally trying to catch Siegel for 6th. Dane Cameron holds on to 5th. Billy Aublin has got the Turner BMW up to 4th. Robin Liddell is 3rd. Keane is 2nd and Bomarito is 1st. And that 57 Camaro came in with quite a long period of time remaining. Will Robin Liddell be able to get that Stevenson machine to the checkered flag without another stop is the question that needs to be answered with 40 minutes remaining here in Alabama.
Yeah, 15 laps on the board already on this set of tires and this fuel run more importantly. So this is going to be a stretch unless they get some yellow, but certainly Mike Johnson and the Stevenson group will have been crunching the numbers and keeping Robin informed as to how much throttle he can use, Dorsey.
Throttle management around here is so key to the tire wear because it is a low grip surface, but it's a high abrasion surface. You know, when you start spinning tires and grinding tires, you just take away the efficiency that you will have later on in the spin. And it really shows if you heard it.
On some positive news for Robin Liddell's regular co-driver, John Edwards. He's been doing very, very good with physical therapy after that torn left ACL. He feels he may be back in time for Homestead Miami Speedway in a month's time. So that's good news.
Well, him and my dog Kaylee can go through the same rehab together. They both have the same injury.
Hopefully he's not sleeping on the porch too, right?
I've been on the porch lately.
All right, let's hear from the man behind Starworks. Here's Peter Barron.
Well, we saw that number 8 in pit lane just a couple laps ago, Ryan Dalziel behind the wheel. And Peter, right now you got 3 Corvettes in front of you. Anything you can do with those cars?
No, we'd like to stop and bolt on some dive planes and downforce like they have. Unfortunately, after Daytona, everybody's crying the Fords are so fast. Hey, it's not our fault that the SunTrust motor blew up and all the other problems those guys had. They left it a Ford race because of that. The series came out and saw that the Fords were maybe too fast and didn't allow us to, with the Generation 3 body equalization, put on dive planes and downforce. So this is like shooting ducks in a barrel here for them or whatever. So right now there's 2 races, the Corvettes out there and all the other cars without downforce. So hopefully we can hang on. Someone else makes a mistake. We rolled the dice, held on to our tires a little bit longer. Maybe the penalties by the 10 car. That's how goofy it is. The 10 car is a penalty and drove right by us. But hopefully we can make a race of it at the end.
Well, we got a long season in front of us, and they've got a nice big bottle of Tums to help them out, guys.
Yeah, and what he's talking about is dive planes. We look at the front end of this number 8 machine. It's very clean around it, just outside of the front wheels there. There's no additions in terms of little bodywork pieces. It's almost like when you're driving down the freeway, sticking your hands out of the window. Imagine the force that it gets. Well, at 150 miles an hour, imagine what effect it has in downforce. About 75 pounds of downforce, I believe, each side with those dive planes, and they're missing them.
A little over 37 minutes to go. We'll round it out to just half an hour of racing left to go. I wonder who will be giving us the thumbs up when the checkered flag falls. There's been a lot of emotion here in Alabama in round 2, and there's even more to come. Been an eventful race here in Birmingham, Alabama, right from the get-go. Watch the early contact between Enzo Potolicchio and J.C. France. They're down into turn 1 as Richard Westbrook took off. Then Ricky Taylor had contact with Popov. There was more contact between the TRG Porsches.
And then we had a stuck throttle here on Eric Foss. He takes a trip through the gravel trap, and he was having a great run here today and qualified really well.
Big lockup for Memo Rojas as he flat spots who starts off the pit.
Oops, same corner, same driver, Ricky Taylor, but this time Patrick Dempsey. There was confusion there over who was going where. No confusion here. Joao Barbosa was coming through.
He almost did. Watch here as Donomaker pulls out on the racetrack. John Pugh digs in. A violent stop in a bad day for the 60.
And it's starting to get ugly here. After a restart, here we see Max Angelelli and Darren Lawson on side-by-side through turn 5. Max gives him no room. Darren is very unhappy, and Max gets a penalty.
And when we had that interview with Darren Law, he's a pretty chilled-out guy. You saw how wild he was. Speaking of wild, it was a pretty crazy ride for Stephen Payne after slight contact with Memo Rojas. The 01 was penalized. Rojas lost the lead to a brilliant move there by Garcia on the inside.
Yeah, Garcia just read the traffic perfectly and slices through to the lead, and they've been there ever since.
What a day. What a day. The sun literally is shining on Spirit of Daytona. It has been a long time coming. They're not there yet. There's still 33 minutes to go. As we give you the important figures here, 33 portions over 13 laps. The day has been dominated by car number 90. This beautiful blue car. This was the one that General Motors Chevrolet debuted at the World Center of Racing back in November to the world's media saying, we're bringing an American icon back, and we're going to bring it to Daytona prototype racing in the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series. It was a huge day. It got a lot of press worldwide. They're saying, what a cool-looking car, and it's finally on the racetrack here today.
And the lack of graphics or the lack of color that's kind of reminiscent of all of the DPs. You see this regular blue car shows you just how beautiful the Corvette bodywork will be. The car is just great as is.
He shows the lines, but the irony is when everyone saw this, they said, oh, it'll be great at Daytona, but will it have enough downforce when we get to the twisty stuff? Well, they went away and tested, came up with some add-ons in terms of the dive planes and aero configuration of that car. They have a high downforce package now that obviously works here.
Switch gears from DP to GT, the Grand Touring class. The Mazda RX-8 out in front. Jonathan Bomarito took over from team principal Sylvain Tremblay. And boy, it's been a good day for these guys too.
I really believe that the strength of the Mazda is the tires. The fact that it can run through its without moving tires. And the other cars, always like the Porsche, always uses the rear tire more than the front. Except that this car is pretty well balanced. Seems suited for this racetrack.
Yeah, they really had a great game plan here throughout the course of this weekend. Didn't panic when they weren't setting the times, just stuck to what they thought they had underneath them. A car that worked well on roll-on tires. In the 59 car, Lee Keane. The smoothest of races for these guys, but here they are in a really strong points-paying position, the defending champions in the GT category.
When you take a look at history here at Barber Motorsports Park, the Speed Source organisation know how to get it done. Jeff Siegel and Emil Asentado won here on their championship-winning year. Sylvain Tremblay won here a couple of years prior to that, back in 2008, with his then co-driver Nick Ham. So the RX-8s are compliant to this short, undulating Barber track.
When you look at the wide diversity of the manufacturers in GT, you realize that not every racetrack is going to be in favor of one or the other. It's going to spread around. So, I mean, this racetrack typically favors, it looks like the Mazda might be very strong. But we go on from here forward to Homestead, it'll be a different story.
Yeah, and everyone thought the Camaro coming in was going to be really strong. We've got big question marks, though, about the 57 horse on fuel as we look at the 94 right now.
And well, I think that question's going to get answered here in a minute. I think you're going to see Robin Liddell come to pit lane again. I just spoke with Mike Johnson, and he said, we had to do something different. We just haven't been able to keep tires under that car all day. So we're going to have to come back in and do one more stop. They're probably going to slide back to about 10th after this stop. They're going to put tires and fuel in the car. He just said, you know what? We just didn't get the balance right. The car just does not like this track very much, and we were burning through tires quick.
There he is right now. The saving grace may be if they've got fresh tires, stay on the lead lap. If they get a caution, they'll have stronger tires than the rest.
And you know what? If we cast our minds back to 2009, that strategy worked for them. They just kept pitting, kept throwing new tires at it, and they went all the way to victory lane. Then it was Andrew Davis and Robert Liddell.
Looking at Barber in 94 car. Remember, that car had to start last, guys, in the field because it had a spin. Also, it qualifying and lost its time.
Defending champions here, of course. Had a great weekend here last year, the Turner Motorsports team. There was the Stevenson boys doing the work. Going to be a definite factor for this championship with John Edwards when he returns, and they've always got great co-drivers with us, Jan Magnussen.
Let's not forget about the really intriguing intra-Chevrolet battle between this team and the other Chevrolet Camaro, the number 88 Auto House car. There will be a little bit of pride there on the line. They're both supported by General Motors, both supported by Pratt & Miller, so they know they have equal equipment. So it's down to the drivers and the team personnel. So we look forward to watching that battle unfold as the 2012 season continues. Counting it down, less than half an hour here, 29 and a half minutes to run at Barber. And Antonio Garcia has a monstrous lead, 19 seconds. That blue Daytona prototype, that Corvette, is out in front over Alex Gurney. And you heard Peter Barron mention a little earlier that Max Angelelli, even with that penalty, the SunTrust number 10 is still in with a shot of standing on the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the 90 car, what great redemption. Remember how strong they were here last year. Dorsey on the way to a victory, had those electrical gremlins bite them.
We ride with the axe here as he weaves his way through GT traffic, and we get set for the run to the checkered flag. Can the SunTrust machine hang on and get back valuable championship points that it lost at the World Center of Racing back in January? We're back. The Porsche 250, Lee Diffie, Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Chris Neville and Brian Till having a good day here at this beautiful Barber Motorsports Park. And we're looking at a couple of Mazdas fighting it out hard here. Dane Cameron on the inside. You ride with Joe Foster. And Dane Cameron holding on tight. We want to take you back to an earlier incident. This is Memo Rojas in the 01, and just the slightest brush there between Rojas and Stephen Kane in the Audi. It caused a penalty to the 01. What did the driver of that car have to say, Chris?
Well, Lee, the good thing is that Scott Pruitt's worked that way all the way back up to 5th right now, and Memo Rojas not content with 5th on the racetrack. Memo, we just saw the replay of that incident with the Audi. What happened there?
Well, we were driving the wheels of that car, trying to stay ahead of the 90 and the 99 car. We certainly don't have the speed they have this weekend, and it was tough to get ahead of them with a good strategy, good laps, and we thought we were going to be able to keep them behind us, and just driving on the edge every lap. Unfortunately, I touched that GT car. I didn't mean to do it. But what can I say? I've seen worse than that. The 10 car didn't get a penalty for something as bad as worse earlier in the race, and I just don't understand why we're not judged with the same criteria. So it's pretty good podium finish.
I think Mamo's referencing that incident early on with Ricky Taylor and Patrick Dempsey.
Scott threw it throwing the 0-1 round. I got to worry about tire wear while he's driving like that. I mean, I understand he's got to be very aggressive because he doesn't have the car under him, but he'll have less if he runs out of tire going into this race.
He's pushing really hard, and maybe he's trying to make a lap time up in the corners as opposed to down the straightaway. So I've got a feel for it. When he pitted, they're going to be a little bit tight on fuel. I'm sure he's trying to save at the end of the straightaways, maybe down in the brake zones. Dorsey's the best place to roll out of the throttle early.
And it's certainly not uncharted waters for the Ganassi organization, but the way this is going, the 01 car will not win for the 5th consecutive race. Counting last season, the first 2 races this season. They have gone as many as 7 races in a row, 2 seasons. So they're kind of heading in that same direction again, but then we see them come back emphatically. So it's certainly nothing new. We've seen the 01 car have tough times before. That's what makes them a championship winning team. They can come back from tough times.
Alex Gurney in the red Dragon in 99, second place car, way distant second place. And then he just wanted off laps because there's no pressure on him either.
Back to the 01 car, Dorsey. I mean, certainly we've seen them struggle for speed over the last few rounds of the championship last year and early this year. But Steve Dine in their engine build has been working on this smaller, really a derivative of the M3 street engine. The 4-liter motor will be punched out about 4.5. It should allow them to run a 6-speed box. It's a lighter weight motor, and they're really in the final stages of really getting that thing homologated. So don't be surprised to see that BMW power plant be a slightly different configuration here pretty soon. They need to find something and find it quick.
Yeah, we've heard it's already been on the dyno, so it's not far from being fitted into this chassis. And we'll see what performance they can get out of that, because it certainly have been in a slump.
On board with Angelelli, and what a day, what a turnaround for this car and for the 99. Remember, tough days at the Rolex 24 at Daytona. The 99 with 13th place points in the championship coming into today. This car, 14th place points. They needed to turn it around. They needed a good finish. And for Gurney and Angelelli, who are out there at the moment, for Bob Stallings and Wayne Taylor, I know they would have liked to have been in victory lane. They could still be with 21.5 minutes to go. It's unlikely, but it's good championship points nonetheless, which they needed desperately.
Yeah, really impressive stint. Angelelli got in the 22s just a short while ago, which is good for them on this racetrack.
Ryan Dial right there in his second stint, which we're told to manage his tires better than he did in his first time round, where he ran a little bit too much tire off before he ran out of fuel.
See the 60 car behind him, Oz Negri, which is several laps down, of course. But what a battle royale these two teams had at Daytona. Just some classic stuff. We saw AJ Allmendinger and McNish go battling and trading, all playing through the evening hours and certainly during the early hours of Sunday as well. Great stuff.
Good scrap going on in GT. It's not going away either. Bill Auberlen has a rear-view mirror full of the FXDD Ferrari of Jeff Siegel.
And Jeff Siegel wasn't able to close the gap to Bill Auberlen, so I'm not really sure what's happening. Traffic played out, or maybe Bill's tires are starting to fall off, but the gap has closed.
What you've got to remember is we've been heaping some praise on Emil Asentado and Jeff Siegel. What about the team behind this car? AIM Autosports switched from Daytona prototypes after years and years of running that. Never run a Ferrari before, completely unfamiliar with the 458 Italia. They've had to learn this car inside and out and refine and adjust their procedures, Brian. It's been a thick workload for the Canadian-based team.
Big workload indeed. You know, remember Turner Motorsports won in the BMW here last year, but right now Bill Auberlen has his hands full. He's been on the radio talking about the rear tires going away, and it seems that the Ferrari might be a little better in the lower speed corners. Auberlen was able to pull out on the last couple of laps through the high-speed corners. Siegel really closes it back up, especially into the hairpin. So it's been give and take right now. We'll see if Siegel can hold on and really pressure him as we get closer to the checkered flag.
Well, one thing we've seen with Ferraris all through the year is that they're very, very good on tire wear front to rear. They're not a bad abusing car as far as tires go. So I think the longer it goes green, the better Jeff Siegel's chances will be.
What I find amazing is the difference in the complexity of this series. When you look at Daytona and how the cars are running there, the BMWs were nowhere. They were totally out to lunch. Yet you come to this tight racetrack and it's totally different. So it's really important that you don't make too many rules adjustment based on Daytona, because until you get to the other configuration racetracks, you never know what everyone has to play with.
It was a very frustrating experience there for one half of the Turner Motorsport Garage, where a car lost an engine due to a very frustrating situation, we say. They don't want to make it public, but they'll make sure it never happens again. There's the Brumos Brains Trust. They're willing their man Lee Keen on in second. This is a pretty good-looking package. The FXDD Ferrari has moved up a position. Jeff Siegel has got by that Turner Motorsport BMW, and this is how he did it. Just wearing away on Bill Orblin. Watch that yellow BMW.
Gets off the outside in the dirt, and of course Jeff knew it right away, moved to the inside, took the position, but he kept that pressure on Calvin for a long time.
He did. He was really wearing Bill out, and we've heard from the pits that the rear tires on Orblin were going away a little bit, and Billy just couldn't hold on to it through that fast chicane. Turns 11 and 12, ran up on the curb, nothing he could do, and just played it clean after that. No point in shutting the door.
You may have noticed that Andy Lally got by two. There is the Magnus Racing Porsche, so 2 positions lost, unfortunately, for Billy Orblin.
Well, you drop the wheels off like that and you lose that amount of time, but also the tires pick up all the grass and debris, and you lose subsequent time as that gets worn back off on the racetrack.
So it might be 1, 2, 3 Corvette in Daytona prototypes, but in GT, we've got a Mazda leading a Porsche, leading a Ferrari. You got another Porsche there and then a BMW. Great mix of manufacturers in the GT ranks at the moment.
Jonathan Bomarito just laying down the laps now. Mazda looks really good.
Last victory out for these guys, Cal, was New Jersey Motorsports Park last year. So they go to Daytona with so much hope because they know that Rolex 24 race so well. They know how to unlock the keys to success there. But it didn't happen for them this year, but this will really give them a shot in the arm heading into the remainder of the 2012 season.
Absolutely. We talked about the BMWs being somewhat uncompetitive at Daytona. Same for the Mazdas, really. Everyone was screaming in the Mazda camp, but they come here and they've really played a very shrewd strategy, not just in the race, but throughout the course of this whole weekend. With David Haskell and Sylvain Tremblay, and now we've got Jonathan Bomarito behind the wheel executing. Like you said, we're giving him the track position. Now it's up to him, and so far so good. But this Ferrari is looking awful strong. It's got around Orblin. Does he have some tires left now to attack Lee Keen?
Well, I was about to say that the longer we go green, like we were talking about before, the Ferrari is coming forward, just like the Mazda does as you go longer green runs.
You want to see that where Lee Keen has to allow that Daytona prototype through. Probably cost him 2 or 3 tenths right there, but Lally is keeping the pressure on. These are the guys who are leading the championship, remember, after that brilliant victory at Daytona.
5 laps difference as far as how long they've been out there. Keen versus Lally, the 2 Porsches. The favor is on Andy's side because he came in last. So we'll see if that plays out. Keen is falling into the clutches of Siegel and Lally. Can the defending GT champion hang on?
And it's tires in both cases, because Lally's tires are newer in the Porsche, and the fact that the Ferrari wears its tires less. I think right now Lee Keen's about to have a battle royale.
We've got 2 races here today. Later on this afternoon is the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge race, and Andy Lally right now has 98 podium career podium, should I say, and it looks like he might be on for one here today, if not 2, starting from the pole with the Kia later on today.
Down into turn 5, they're as close as they've ever been. This is the fight for second. And the famous 59 is in trouble. The Ferrari steps out a little bit too, and Andy Lally's saying, oh, I've got you both just where I want you here.
Looks pretty, and everyone loves it, but that is not good for the tire wear and the tire temperature, Dorsey. So Siegel's starting to show signs of the tires going away a little bit, and Lally is all over him. He's got a few less laps on his tires than Jeff Siegel. Now Jeff has got to go in a defensive mode.
Yeah, that little power slide, although it looked good, like you said, Calvin, cost him that amount of distance, and it put Andy Lally that much closer to the back of the Ferrari.
Jeff Siegel is a very smart young man, though. He'll look at the big picture. He recognizes, boy, we've got a great package this year. We're going to be super competitive. Let's not throw it away here. We need some good points on the board and go on to the next one, even if today isn't our day in terms of the victory.
Hey, guys, I just had a quick look out the window. Guess what I saw flash by? The 5 Action Express car is back out on track. And guess which car is behind? It's behind the 10.
No, don't say that.
There goes Angelelli.
Locks it up.
Chris, tell us more.
Well, I've been watching that too, Lee, and the team down here has been watching and telling Darren Law, hey, Darren, don't go after him. Don't let it happen here on the racetrack. Don't worry, we got a long season ahead. You can have words with him after the race.
I think I'd let him know I was there nonetheless.
I've never seen Darren Law that wild.
No, he's pretty aggravated, and rightfully so.
Tell you what, though, the 5 car doesn't look like it's handling that great unless Darren's just pushing too hard too early.
Yes, there's a bit of
yeah,
anger there.
Yeah. Look, he's running wide on pretty much every corner, so I think there might have been a bit more damage to the front of that car. They may have not got quite right.
It took a pretty nasty bounce through the...
Yeah, doesn't look happy.
Just 11 minutes to go until we see the checkered flag fall here. It's been a long break in the schedule. We've been waiting to go racing again. The teams and drivers have been anxious, and this one has been an interesting one. This is the day that Corvette was looking for back at the Rolex 24 at Daytona, but the spoils went to the Ford Rileys there. However, this is going to be a magical day for Antonio Garcia, Richard Westbrook, and the Spirit of Daytona team in just a little over 10 minutes.
That car has just been on a rail. Absolutely flawless.
Siegler's kept the distance between he and the 59 pretty consistent, and he's got Lally all over his rear bumper. So tough to pass here when the cars are so equal. It's a brilliant racetrack, Dorsey, but it's still really hard to find a good passing zone without taking a chance.
If anything, Andy might be able to push Jeff a little bit harder just to get him up to Lee Keen. You know, just the fact that you don't want to be passed by Larry, you might just get that little bit more out of that Ferrari.
Yeah, you see the Ferrari there down the front straightaway, just stretching him a little bit. Remember, Andy's got that 3.8 in versus the 4-liter in Lee Keen's Porsche.
So with less than 10 minutes to go, we're going to sneak away, squeeze in one final commercial break. And that man there, Wayne Taylor, will know that the 5 car is out on track right behind his car. When we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag. Well, you are not going to believe this. We are back with just 6.5 minutes remaining, and there is our 4th full course caution for debris at turn 9, which has compacted this field for one crazy finish.
It certainly helps out some of the teams. I mean, some of the guys were telling us, yes, we're good on fuel. They may have been tight. That will take that out of the equation now, so they'll be good to go. What will Pruitt do? I mean, he was sort of like a little bit shy on fuel, but with the track position, do they pit? Do they take rubber? I mean, that's an option. It depends if you've got a fresh set still sitting down there. And here he comes. So Timmy Keen is going to say, you know what? Let's give the boys some rubber, see what you can do. There you see a fresh set of Continental tires, only
4
5
tires
sets.
here. As soon as we get back out, we need to pass all the GT cars. Getting back in the DP line.
It's the same thing we talk about. Timmy Keen playing the only hand he's got. He doesn't have the best car, but he's going to have the real good tires now. And a good driver to try to get the job done.
Giving Scott Pruitt every opportunity to maximize. You may have noticed when the cars came around onto the front straight where Antonio Garcia, the overall leader, was, and then where second placed Alex Gurney was, there was a string of GT cars. That then gets changed because they all get waved around. But this is going to be a crazy finish.
A little bit of damage there to the right rear bodywork where Mamo clipped the Audi earlier in this race, but shouldn't be a big issue.
No, it's been there the whole time. It really hasn't changed any. It hasn't grown in its, the hole there. But I agree, this is going to open the door for chaos.
Well, it's been a battlefield today. Look at the racetrack.
Yeah.
So you've got Gurney now right on the bumper of Antonio Garcia. Not for position, you've got Darren Law right on the bumper of Max Angelelli.
Yeah, and that's not good. That could be payback if he wanted to do so, but they've almost already hit on this behind the pace car here.
There's a couple of cars in between Alex Gurney and Max Angelelli, so it's not going to be an easy effort for Angelelli. He'll be looking forward as much as he's looking back.
Angelelli needs to keep his helmet on when he gets out of the car.
Yeah, I would too. Maybe just drive to the transporter. In the transporter.
Not only is it exciting for the Daytona prototype scrap, GT is going to be thrilling as well. And Jonathan Bomarito lost that huge advantage that he had. Andy Lally is looking racy. Remember, he has got fresher tires than those in front of him. So this is going to be interesting on many, many levels. And there's only 4 minutes to go. Brian?
Bob Stallings looking on. Bob, team based in Texas. What kind of a gunslinger is Alex here with this shootout at the end?
Well, I don't know. We'll see. We got a good car, but the 90 is awfully good right now. In fact, I think the 90 owns this track.
We're about to find out, guys.
Oh, look how tight these guys are here for this fight for second in GT. We go back up front to the Daytona prototypes. Alex Gurney in that red car sitting second. He's not letting Garcia get away, is he? The 2 cars behind aren't for position. Let's go. It's Corvette on Corvette. The final 3.5 minutes.
Good run. Good start for Garcia.
Key, remember, it's tough to pass. Just hit your marks, Antonio, until you get those tires cleaned off. You got the balance back in the race car.
Absolutely. Stay to the inside, hit every mark you got. It's tough to pass here.
Yeah, turn 5. This next brake zone is where he could be susceptible to a pass, but he's got a nice gap on Alex Gurney now. He should be okay to hit his marks, take that nice wide entry there, and not sacrifice any exit speed. Pruitt's back in the pack a little bit. He had to clear some lapped DP traffic first. He just goes to the back of the DP line. He's clearing traffic. Remember those fresh tires. That'll be huge here in the last couple of minutes of this race.
Not so much this lap, but the next one. Look at GT. He's got a run going.
Siegel slides that Ferrari. Keen under pressure. Here comes Andy Lally. Look at that 44 Porsche, the grey and white one. Has to make a move through here.
Fantastic job there by Jeff Siegel, really holding that car beautifully through that corner. We've seen him do it before. But Lee Keen, he's got so much experience now, having won a championship. He really believes in himself, feels a lot more confident. He's been in this position so many times before now. Hit your marks.
I think the best car in the trio right there is probably Andy Lally. He's probably got
someone's off.
Yeah, somebody off big to the left there.
It was the Audi, I think it was the 74 Oryx Audi. Ran wide, back on track though, no harm done there. Pressure is on, final 2 minutes. Who can hang on? Can the reigning GT champion Lee Keen hold on for this second place in GT?
Look at these 3 GT cars. I mean, it's desperation time. Any kind of a dive bomb to the inside might work now.
The thing what happened here, I believe, with the pace car situation is that the leader, Jonathan Bomarito, got split with the rest of these field. And with the shorter caution here, I mean, basically, he was home free. Oh, look at that. He's basically on the tail of these guys.
Oh, hit the curb too much. That's going to give a run to the outside, but he can't go there because Lally will take the inside away if he does.
This is the critical part, getting on the power early on this run up the hill down into that brake zone.
Up front, guys, it's over. Garcia has run away from Gurney.
Based on the current pace, 2 laps remaining. White flag next time.
Goes to the inside.
Nice. Good job.
Big move under brakes down into turn 5 to get by Lee Keen. Here's Lally. Porsche on Porsche.
You saw Lee Keen tap the brakes twice before he got on him hard, which means he's got a long brake pedal. He couldn't trust it.
But he didn't defend at all. He left that door wide open, Dorsey. I would have thought with only a couple of laps to go, you'd have to defend a little bit. That is the prime spot for overtaking at this racetrack.
Garcia's checked out. Unless he has any kind of problem, nobody's touching that car today.
Coming to the close in this round 2, the Porsche 250, and a couple of Porsches going hard at it. Lee Keen fending off Andy Lally.
2 of the best Porsche drivers there are. Here comes Lally trying to get to the outside.
Yeah, he wants that 99th career podium here. He wants it bad.
That little break helped the tires and helped that 94 BMW.
He's to the inside.
Not yet. Back part there.
Keen was up on the curb there. Lally thought he had a spot to go for it. He's going to work him over big time.
And Oberlin wants a piece of this Porsche.
Yes, it does. That break helped the BMW. It refreshed it a little bit. And he's now in the mix as well. Jeff Siegel in that FXDD Ferrari is gone. He's running away from these boys. Final lap. It's a dogfight.
Lee Keen feints to the middle of the road there. He said, you're not going to come through on the inside on this one. What will he do down into turn 5 this time?
They can't get 2 side by side because Oberlin will pounce right there.
Lally seems to have more grip. Remember, he's got the smaller motor. Will that be a factor here in the acceleration run? Down to that brake. So remember the last lap, Keen went all the way to the right.
Updating you on another story, those fresh tyres have helped Scott Pruitt. He has got by Max Angelelli and Ryan Dial. The 01 Ganassi BMW is in 3rd overall.
That is a great
strategical move.
Great
Here
call by
he
Lee Keen. What a call. Put fresh tires on this car. It's not the best car, but right now it's very good.
Tires are worth 2 seconds or more over used tires, so time is running out for Pruitt to get the win, but can he get Gurney in these last couple of turns?
The international driving duo in an American icon. The Chevy Corvette in Daytona prototypes with Spirit of Daytona gets its very first
Attaboy,
win.
guys. Great job, guys. Excellent touch seal.
The Spirit of Daytona is the spirit of racing. Never give up. Great stuff for Troy Fliss and the entire Spirit of Daytona team. Meanwhile, the fight for the final step on the podium in GT, it's not over with.
It isn't. Andy Lally wants it, but he's got to think big picture. He is leading this championship right now. He looks to the inside on Lee Keen. Keen defends. Siegel looks safe in 2nd. Bomarito will have taken the checkered flag already for the win in GT.
Look at the big picture. Andy Lally not going to crash these 2 cars. He's going to get a 3rd today.
Well done to Jeff Siegel and Emil Asentado getting that 2nd place. Keen hangs on for 3rd, but it's a Mazda day for Sylvain Tremblay's Speed Source
And it's
team.
Harold, that's my boy, on pit lane. Yeah.
was a good win for Mazda. Third here for Speed Source, and a really special day for Corvette and Spirit of Daytona. We're going to celebrate when we come back. Let's show you the top 10 here at Barber Motorsports Park. What a finish. And we know what a special day it is for Spirit of Daytona. Second career win for Garcia. It's a very first for Richard Westbrook. And if you look behind the Red Dragon combo of Fogarty and Gurney, what a strategical decision for Ganassi, getting that third spot.
Scott Pruitt set the fastest lap of his race on the very last lap on that fresh tyre.
It's time to celebrate with the Spirit of Daytona, boys. Here's Chris.
Well, it was Ford that came away with the win at the Rolex 24, but Corvette swings back hard at Barber Motorsports Park. Richard Westbrook, Antonio Garcia getting that first win for Spirit of Daytona. Antonio, you've won the big races before. You've won the Rolex 24. You've won Le Mans before. But you get this guy, Troy Fliss, his first prototype. That's got to be pretty gratifying.
I mean, it's just awesome. I mean, these guys deserve it. Since 2 years, 2.5 years that I've been working with them. Very hard job, starting with Buddy Rice. Awesome job there as well. Paul last year. Now Richard. Awesome job as well. So we learn from our errors on the past, but also our bad luck. So for the first time, we really made this race. We managed the race. I was definitely managing the tires just in case this yellow came. I was so afraid about that and pay it off. So I'm so happy for Chevrolet. So happy to bring or to give Chevrolet and Chevrolet Corvette GP the first victory. So that's very, very special. And just, yeah, all Chevy team, thank you.
Richard, you're pretty new to the team, but really new to Barber Motorsports Park. First time racing here. Are you surprised with the performance of this team?
Well, it's just unbelievable. I mean, I knew that we had to get the monkey off the back because the team hadn't scored a victory in DP, and you know it's best to put that right straight away. And you know the crew gave us a fantastic car, and Chevy DP. I mean, it's a brand new car. We never expected to be going out like this straight away, and it's just absolutely fantastic. I'm so proud to be part of this program in the Chevy DP, and even more proud to claim the first victory, hopefully the first of many. But thanks to my teammate, he drove like a champ today. He really did.
Troy, this is an incredible family operation you've got going here. You finally get your first prototype win. What's the emotion?
Oh, it's great. It's been a dream for me in the last 12 years trying to do this, and got to thank all the people that have helped us and these great guys for driving this thing and the whole team, and it's been great. You know, the first Corvette Daytona prototype win, first win for Spirit of Daytona, so we are super happy. This is let's get something off our shoulders, and these guys are going to really have to look out all year because we got young group guys, and they're all ready to go get it, and I think this is going to put us at the top all year, so we're really excited to try to get Richard his first championship here in Rolex.
Congratulations, guys. Lee?
First win for the team, Chris, in 10 years since the AGT class back in 2002. We're going to take you now to the Rolex move of the race, and it involves Antonio Garcia on the inside of Memo Rojas.
Just read the traffic perfectly there, slices the inside of that R8 and takes the lead away from the 0-1.
Nice work, decisive move. They've got our Rolex move of the race. We need to switch to GT now, and let's show you here because this was an interesting one. In the end, though, it worked out pretty good for the 70 Speed Source Mazda team, didn't it? Of Jonathan Bomarito and Sylvain Tremblay. Third win in GT for the Speed Source boys here on top. And Asentato and Siegel, who used to be part of the Speed Source organization, now with that FXTD Ferrari, getting a brilliant second over the defending GT champs, Davis and Keane in third. Let's go down and celebrate GT style.
Sylvain Tremblay, Jonathan Bomarito celebrating the victory. Still, it's been since New Jersey of last year that the 70 found victory lane, and you guys had to pull out all the stops for this one. How special was it?
This is very special. I mean, obviously, not only for Steve Sanders from Mazda, hopefully he gets well, but for Castrol from Mod Space, and we're back in black, baby. I mean, this is an iconic paint job for us. The strategy really was king today. We had to do our job. Jonathan drove probably the best that I've seen him drive. No mistakes, but the pit box did it for us. Marcus Shen, David Haskell, and Matt Martin were awesome making the calls for us. Just this is a tough place, and we knew that coming in, and I think I have a little experience, maybe a little gray hair is helping us out. So just glad to have Jonathan back in victory lane with Mazda.
And David Haskell, calm on the box all day long. I heard him talking to you, Jonathan, but when he came on the radio and told you full course caution, there's David right there, told you full course caution with just a handful of laps to go. Did your heart sink a little bit?
It stopped, I think, for the rest of the lap. And then they told me that we had track position with DP leader, and we were going to be on the tail end of the lead lap, and I just got the chills, the goosebumps. What amazing feeling. The guys did an amazing job. Thank you, everybody, to Speed Source, Mazda Speed, Castrol. Thank you.
Welcome back to Victory Lane, guys.
Well, Alex Gurney and John Fogerty are always focused on the win, but Alex, after a 13th at Daytona, second place has got to taste pretty good.
Yeah, it does. It's a pretty good day for us. You know, we struggled last year, but I'm sure we gained on the 90. They were awfully quick this year. Hats off to them. But you know, a good day for the points and a tough race. But we're glad to be on the podium.
We'll see you at Homestead.
Well done, nice drive from those boys, and special too for John Ward, their new engineer who worked for Dan Gurney's All-American races, to be joining that team and steering that 99 to first podium of the year, which, as Alex alluded to there, it's really going to help championship points-wise.
Yeah, he told me this morning, he said, we've struggled here the last couple of years. We said we feel pretty good, but he said the 90 car seems to be in a different league, and it certainly proved to be that way throughout the course of this race. But there's a big championship on the line here, Dorsey, and a lot of big players.
You know what I like? I really like I sense a change of momentum of this whole thing. We've got new winners. We've got new cars. We've got a bunch of new things going on. It's not the same old as we've been looking at for the past 4 or 5 years, and that's very good for this series.
Couple of firsts at the Rolex 24 at Daytona. We had a first-time event winner with Mike Shank Racing here. First-time winners with Spirit of Daytona Racing. Spare a thought for drivers like Guy Cosmo, Buddy Rice, Scott Russell, guys who have worked very hard with that team and helped Troy Fliss and his brother and the rest of the organization build that up to now a Daytona prototype race-winning organization. Also, spare a thought, the Chevrolet Corvette, an American icon, is now a Daytona prototype race winner. What a great day for that brand here in Alabama. We look forward to that next race. We were telling you about it earlier at Homestead Miami Speedway. It's a month's break. It'll let tempers settle, and it'll let teams get back to work and prepare. Maybe a little bit of testing in between. And we look forward to seeing you in Southern Florida. Thanks for watching Sports Cars on Speed.